Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network listeners. I am Jeff Hawkins, co-host of Shake Them Ropes, with a very special announcement. If it's been a while or you've never listened to us before, the original gang is back. Myself and Rob McCarran, back talking wrestling. We have no idea where this show's going to go, where we're going to keep any of the old bits or any of the old things in there. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey, and we'd like for you to come along with us. Only on Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Thank you so much for supporting WWE and NXT and me. You're so sweet.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
Like, wrestling fans deserve nothing. I mean, it's just a terrible group of people. I mean, with the exception of our listeners.
Yes.
Fine.
You guys are all
people.
good. You guys are all good. But yeah,
I mean,
most
in
other,
general,
yeah.
these wrestling fans, I mean, it's gross.
Rich Craig. Like, I'm not cool anyway. I don't need someone to tell me I'm cool or not. I'm well aware that I'm not cool. Oh, wow. I'm too old. I'm too old to be cool. It's over. When is the last time you were cool?
Rich, I'm cool right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening? How are you?
Hello. This man is now a father.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's been discussed on a live show yet. Because,
first one on a live show, yeah.
Yeah, so there's probably still some people finding that out for the first time, but that's why there was no Flagship last week on people's podcast feeds. And for those of you who were wondering why and are just catching up, there was a Flagship podcast. It was behind the paywall, and you can listen to that for just $5. So getting the commercial out of the way, right? We got a lot of commercials
out of the
today.
gates. Yeah, we do.
We got a lot of commercials today. But that's where
diapers ain't cheap. Diapers ain't cheap, brother. So start subscribing. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell everybody, for God's sakes.
Yes, so that's why there was no show last week, and this man here is the proud father of a new baby boy. So how old is this kid? Like 4 days old or something?
He is now. He would be born last Sunday. So what is he at this point? Yeah, he's getting there. Yeah, coming up on 2 weeks now. About a week and a half year old. So yeah, he's. There's good nights, there's bad nights, but yeah, we're doing it. He's still alive. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised of our ability to keep him alive for a week and a half. So that's already a win, I'd say.
Is it weird having this little living being?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, my
bizarre,
entire
right?
Yeah,
Very
it's
strange.
so weird. I don't know what to do. It's all just very strange and very crazy. I get nothing done, but I also have a ton of free time. It's one of those things. You know, I'm stuck at home all the time. I'm watching TV all the time. My God, I've watched so many sports in the last week. So much wrestling and so much sports, but then I feel like I got nothing done when the day's done. It's just, I'm up at weird hours. I'm texting you at 1 a.m., the witching hours, which you can't believe. It's great to get a reply from you because normally I like text you. I'm like, when you get up, like here's my message to you, or whatever. But now I'm like texting you, and then I get a reply instantly, and I'm like, oh wow, this is what it's like when you text Joe at 1 a.m. as you get replies.
Text me at 9:30 in the morning. Hear back in 3 hours. Text me at 1 a.m. Hear back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we've never communicated better, you and I. So this is a big change, but. Yeah, it is very, very strange to have this thing around. So the nurse is taking care of him tonight, so hopefully we won't do a run-in. But if I have to mute for an extended period of time, that's probably something. Got to handle, but I think she'll be good.
I was thinking about it. If this kid has an excellent chance of living to the year 2100. Have you thought about that?
I only did when you mentioned it, and then I mentioned it to a bunch of people, and everybody looked at me weird, like, why did you think of that? And I was like, well, somebody I know thought of it, and they're like, why did he think of it? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's pretty interesting, right?
How could you not think of that? That's like one of the first things I thought of. I was like, this kid's going to live to the year 2100.
I saw some people, and I thought more people would be, because when you mentioned that in our Discord, I was like, wow, that's incredible. I'm going to tell everybody, like, hey, this kid has a realistic chance to see like an insane number, an insane year that I would never even think possible. And nobody else seemed to care that much. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is incredible. 2100. Like, what a weird time. Like, there was a generation that thought the year 2000 was this like futuristic, crazy, insane thing. And here's this kid. He's going to see 2100, man.
There is a non-zero chance that child in your home at some point in its life will communicate and have a conversation with someone who sees the year 2200. Think about that one.
Jesus, you're right.
That's possible.
It is. Your
kid lives to 85.
Yeah,
and that's not really asking too much.
Yeah, he'll
right?
be a youngin', like great grandkid or whatever.
Your kids' great grandkids will see 2200, which means that there will be people in the year 2200 who will be privy to and potentially discussing this podcast.
That's you got my head. This is deep. Flagship gets deep sometimes, people.
You are understandably speechless.
I'm just thinking about it getting
because that's real.
Well, I'm just thinking of my child speaking to his great grandchild like on his lap and being like, "Yeah, so my father he had this, like thinking about it, and then it's just us just talking about dicks and rhino pills and like, you know what I mean? Like,
if they go back and find
stupid ass show, this dumb ass show. Yeah. But you're right. It could be.
But that's how short history is.
Yeah.
It's why people say, like, when people talk about history, they're like, we're not that far removed from slavery. We're not that far removed from the Holocaust. We're not that far removed from these things.
Oh, yeah. People do that for the civil rights movement a lot, too, because a lot of that is in black and white or whatever, and all the Martin Luther King speeches are in black and white. And people are like, look, that wasn't that long ago. It's in black and white, so it makes it feel like it's a long time ago. But, brother, that's very recent history that we're talking about here. And I always love that, too, when you have, like, I think this just happened a couple years ago where some guy that was like a direct relative of Robert E. Lee like just died like last year or whatever. It's you know what I mean? Like some insane stretch of time.
Doesn't Martin Van Buren still have a living grandchild?
Is that the one? Let me see if that's still. Yeah.
I think that's the one. That's the one.
Let's see. Martin Van Buren grandson. Yeah, let's see. I think he's gone. I think it's. Was it Martin Van Buren? You're on the right track.
Maybe it's a different president. There's a president from that. Zachary Taylor, I think it is. It's Try Zachary Taylor.
Oh no, sorry. John Tyler.
Third time's a charm. John Tyler, who was president. Check the years John Tyler was president. Were 1841 to 1845.
Yeah, two of his grandsons were living as early 2010.
Yeah. Living grandchildren.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm saying here. Your child will speak to someone who lives to the year 2200 potentially about this podcast. That's a real thing that you have to think about.
It is, and I will think about it a lot now, unfortunately.
I mean, you know, you can't even conceive. Have you thought about this? I was thinking about this the day your kid was born. Did your kid's life overlap at all with Lenny Wilkins?
Let me check when Lenny passed away. I think I got messages about him passing away when I was in the hospital, but let me see.
Same day, you know. I'm
yeah.
wondering
Shoot. When did Lenny? I don't know. I don't know when he died, but same day. They were born. Lenny died on the day my child was born. I want to say, you know what? I can go to a message, an exact message sent to me from a person. Let's see here. Let's go. Let's see if Lenny. Because yeah, you're gonna try to do like a 6 degrees of separation, Lenny Wilkins.
No, I just remembered Lenny Wilkins dying that day and thinking, I wonder if their lives overlapped at all. And here's
they
the other
did.
thing.
Well, maybe. No. Hold on, Lenny. No, they didn't. Unfortunately, I got a message, and then an hour later, I texted somebody that my kid was born. So it was Lenny Wilkins passed away, and I said, man, that sucks." And I went, "Well, I'm better news. Here you go. I got a baby now." So, no, unfortunately, my baby will never live to know or have the same life as Lenny Wilkins. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. Here's what's going to happen. Okay. Every birthday this kid has, you're going to say to yourself, Lenny Wilkins has been dead for 27 years.
Yeah. I'm going to remember.
You're going to do that every birthday because it was the same day. And you're going to be like, wow, Lenny Wilkins has been dead for 35 years. It feels like it happened not that long ago, you know? Those are the things that are going to go on in your head. I got another one too. Here. Let's just say, hypothetically,
your brain is something else. Your brain is something else. But go on.
What do you mean? So, let's just say that hypothetically, this kid gets a little older. You know, gonna have his own interests, right? Wants to be a Cubs fan. How do you handle that?
I think I'd be all right with it. If it's
You're okay with the Cubs fan? It
kind of depends on the state of the White Sox at that time. If it's what we're doing now and Jerry Reinsdorf is still the owner, which I guess that would be that would be pretty surprising, I guess. But you said people can live a long time. But what's Jerry? Jerry's like 89. Ugh. I don't think he's would Jerry Reinsdorf still own the White Sox when my kid has the opportunity to decide what team he wants to be a part of. No, I mean, I would strongly encourage him to be a White Sox fan, but given the current state of the White Sox, I could totally understand why he would want to be a Cubs fan. It would probably hurt me a little bit, and I would certainly try to steer. You know what? Now that I'm talking about it, no, fuck that. No, he can't be a Cubs fan.
You can't accept that.
I just thought about that. No, fuck that. No. If I had to become a White Sox fan, my dad brought it onto me. This life, no, this kid's got to do it too. And I got a couple White Sox onesies and stuff, so no, fuck that. He's got to be a White Sox fan.
I would never accept like a 49er fan in this house. It can't happen.
Yeah, I thought about it. It's like, well, the kid should be able to choose whatever you want. And I'm like, no, fuck that. No, White Sox for sure. Live this life of misery with me, kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I don't have a you have to like my team's doctrine, but there are some teams that are cross-offs. You cannot be a San Francisco 49er fan. That I forbid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You cannot be a St. Louis Cardinals fan. I forbid it. I forbid it. You can't live here. So, you know, but listen.
Yeah, if he wants to be a Miami Marlins fan or whatever, fine. Knock yourself out or whatever. But
Right.
No problem. Yeah, you're right. There are probably a few. I would say the Twins, like no Minnesota Twins, no Chicago Cubs.
Yeah,
that's about it. I think those are the only two teams I truly hate. Red Sox, like I'd be really annoyed if I had a Red Sox fan son like that. He'd just be a douche. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. Yankees, yeah, that'd be annoying. You don't want to have a Yankee fan kid, right? Because then he's gonna be like a Yankees, Cowboys, Lakers kid, and I don't want to raise that.
Yeah, I mean that's a rough one too. You don't want the Yankees, Cowboys, Duke combination. Lakers,
right.
That's the one. Yankees, Cowboys, Duke, Lakers.
Yeah, like, which unfortunately right now. Well, I guess what are the Cowboys at? I don't know. What's the state of the Cowboys right now?
Not good.
Okay, the usual.
Not
okay,
good.
All right, so that I think because I was gonna say right now more than in a long time, like this kid is primed to be that kind of fan. Because like the Lakers are going to be good for a while now. They got Luka fucking handed to them. They have new ownership. That's not dumb. They fired the fail sons of Bus. I don't know if you saw that news today. They were like, all right, yeah, because they got like cushy jobs. The sons that were losers and didn't do anything, they had cushy jobs for a while, but they kicked them to the curb. So the Lakers will be good for a while. The Yankees are obviously pretty good right now and probably going to be good for a little while too. Duke is Duke. Like I think they're going to be good for a while. So the only thing would be the Cowboys that you have to worry about. But what would be the trend? Like the Chiefs? Would it be like the Chiefs now? Would be like the trendy NFL pick, but that's not. The Cowboys are the established, like
Patrick
annoying
Mahomes
team.
Patrick Mahomes will be long gone before your kid watches a football game. It takes these kids a while to get into sports. So you could forget Luka too. You could forget Luka. Luka might still be hanging around, but it is not going to be Luka. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it won't be in this prime. Yeah,
your kid's not going to care about sports or absorb the sports until they're like 10. Luka will be 36 or something, 37.
Yeah.
Hanging on. There'll be a whole generation of players that your kid will attach himself to versus like the Patrick Mahomes and the Lukas, forget.
Yeah, those guys will all be gone.
They'll be old news. Your kid will be telling you that they weren't that good. And
he was playing against plumbers. Yeah, he was playing against plumbers. And I'm like, what?
Right,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. That's what so you got to prepare for that. These players weren't that good. He's going to tell you all about how LeBron James never faced the kind of competition that some kid who's 3 right now is facing.
Right.
That's
Giannis's kid. Yeah, Giannis's child. That's in the league at that time or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. So those are the things I was thinking about when your kid was born. The first thing that popped in my brain was that kid's going to see 2100, which is crazy. It's crazy. Can't conceive of it. Maybe I'll see 2100. You
might. Yeah, things could change. I mean, technology's
75 more years.
Can you go? That might be tricky, but you need a little bit of
tricky. Of course not. What do you mean?
I think it's going to be tricky for you to live 75. I think you're going to need a little bit, some advancements in technology to get there. I don't know via natural causes if you will be able to survive.
I'm in top peak physical condition.
I know. I'm not disputing that. I just think adding 74 more years onto your total. I don't know.
Non-smoker, non-drinker, never touched an illicit or illegal drug. Have never had unprotected sex with highly questionable women in the night. Never.
So
it's
never taken gas station pills.
Nothing not FDA approved. Never.
A large amount of FDA or no FDA regulations, a large amount of warnings. No, you're fine.
I have never paused the Friday Plans commercial to scan that QR code. That has never happened.
The supple neck. You got a very supple neck.
Can you believe you could just scan a QR code while you're watching Sports Center and get dick pills in the mail?
It is pretty wild where we've gone to. Yeah.
It's pretty absurd that we can do that, and
they're not even that late of. They're not even that late of Sports Centers either. It's not like the 2 a.m. Sports Center. It's like
no.
It's like the 9 p.m. Sports Center, like Scott Van Pelt Sports Center.
It's just the norm. Like you're watching First Take at 10:30 in the morning, and the Friday Plans commercial pops up. I don't know how we've gotten to that point. Like they're like, just scan the code. You'll text with one of our doctors. I'm sure that's a real intensive exam.
I'm sure. Yeah, just like Hims. They've never wants a sponsor. Yeah, a past sponsor here of the Flagship. Yeah, the licensed. The guy's got a white coat. They show the picture of the guy, and he's a guy in a white coat, Joe. I'm pretty sure.
That's right.
He's like, well, hold on a minute. Let me look at your medical history. Let's look at
I want to see what they ask through the text. Is it like, hello, sir, I am a doctor. What seems to be the problem? And then you say, I don't get boners. And then the guy goes, okay, would you like 100 milligrams?
Exactly.
Like, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that easy?
Yes.
They don't, there's no proof. Does the doctor at least say, if you have a heart condition, these might kill you. Say yes or no. And then you just go, no. And he goes, okay, on the way, sir. In an unmarked envelope. Your penis pills will be there in 2 business days. Is that really how easy it is?
I bet it's even easier. I bet they don't even ask the heart thing. They just tell you to read the warnings. Yeah, please remember to read the warnings when the pills arrive. Thank you. Bye. Yeah.
Telling you to read the warnings is enough of to get them not sued, or do they at least have to ask and then say, hey, this guy told us he didn't have a heart condition? See, I'm wondering what the laws are.
Yeah.
There's got to be something there.
Well, the next time they sponsor us, I'll grill them and ask if we could talk about this on the show. The questions that the license.
Why would we ask first?
That's true. We should just do it on the show in our read. Yeah, I'm gonna send them this and ask if we can get money for this, because I'm like, we basically promoted your product. We showed you how easy it is to get dick pills delivered to you in a non-discreet package by a licensed medical. I love how they don't call him they call him a licensed medical professional, which reminds me of
that's a good point.
That reminds me of the WWE's local medical facility, a licensed medical professional, aka
who knows,
nurse practitioner, maybe.
Isn't that the worst when you schedule a doctor's appointment and you get the nurse practitioner?
No, you want the nurse practitioner. No, they're more in the weeds. The nurse practitioners are more in the weeds. I would say the doctors are getting a little older. The doctors are getting older and they don't care as much. But I get it.
Yeah, I feel slighted. I'm like, I don't even get a full doctor. Like, no disrespect to the nurse practitioner, but I'm not worthy of a full doctor. Like.
That probably means you're good. That probably means you're healthy. That's another indication that you're healthy. They bring in the doctor for the real, the nurse practitioner is good at I think that's okay. I think you should see that as a compliment.
They see that supple neck and they're like,
oh, you got this one.
Right. Yeah, this is going to be cake. You go handle this guy, right? So it's kind of like when you're buying a car, I have to deal with the sales manager because I'm such a hard ass, like I don't have to deal with the doctor because I'm an easy exam. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah. I would think that's the case for you. Your chart must read well, and we know it does. You've read it on the show, so we know it reads well. So
yeah, I've read.
You violated HIPAA on this show.
I violated my own HIPAA on this show. That's a shoot. I've read my private medical documents verbatim on this show. That's what we do around here. And as you correctly predicted, your kid is going to go back one day and say, I'm going to listen to daddy's first show when I was born. And he's immediately going to hear a conversation about dick pills.
Yep.
Just as you mentioned
full
at the top. It's amazing how that goes. It's going to be dick pills and ZERO1 pro wrestling is what this kid is going to experience.
but that's what we've been. I mean, that's what we've been since day fucking one. So we're not changing. MLW, NWA, ZERO1, and then, I don't know, AEW and WWE and some other stuff.
We haven't talked WWE in months. I think when they say licensed medical professional, right? So it could be a doctor. It could be a nurse. It could be a chiropractor for stretching things. It could be like a veterinarian, maybe. Maybe they just get someone on there who deals with parakeets and fish. Maybe a hairstylist. They kind of deal with the human body, right? They're like, it could be anyone.
An optometrist as well, like an eye doctor.
Sure.
I believe a social worker would even count in that same way. Like it's a wide range. When they say licensed medical professional, it's a wide range.
It's a wide range. It's such a range. It could be just about anything. A dentist, maybe. Maybe they get a dentist in there. Maybe not even the dentist. Maybe the guy they send in before the dentist to stick like the shit in your mouth to take the fucking cast and all that. Maybe, who knows? What do you call that? The dental assistant, I think they call that.
I thought they had a more
official name.
I thought they had a fancier name, but maybe I'm wrong. Is it just dental assistant? I thought they had a better name, but maybe they don't.
I don't know. They're usually like 26 in a smoke show is usually what they are.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Very tight-fitting scrubs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dental hygienist. Hygienist. That's the one I was going. Dental hygienist.
Chappin.
Oh yeah.
So
I used to have so at my dentist there used to be a lot of like older women. They kind of all retired out, and the new ones they've hired are exactly like you said. Pretty much to a T. I'm like, what up? How's it going?
All of my children's teachers, somehow every one of them is like a 9. How does this happen? I had nothing but old hags when I was in school. Every teacher
you had Mrs. Johnson, who had a picture of Harry Truman on her desk or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
And she reeked of old lady hair, right. and had that skin you didn't want touching you, like.
Definitely rip cigs in the teacher's lounge, between periods for sure.
and she drove a Datsun, and these
with the windows down, the smoker Virginia Slims on the windows. Yeah.
Yeah. These kids every year, they get these teachers and they send home these little things like about the teacher, and all those pictures and the family. Like, what the how do you get these teachers? Or where are they finding these teachers? OnlyFans? What's with all these teachers? This school's ridiculous. They're all, they're all 9. What is this? I'm like, to my wife, I'm like, I can't go visit with these teachers if the kid, you got to go I'm going to be stammering. They're going to make me nervous. They're too hot, these teachers. You got to deal with them. So I don't know when that changed. It definitely wasn't the case when I was in school.
No, I had one hot teacher my entire career, and that was about it. Maybe 1 or 2 that I remember, but 1 for sure. I definitely remember. But
really, see, I didn't even have 1.
Yeah, I had 1. Yeah.
No, we were struggling, and
you commented about her once. I sent a picture on Twitter one time back in the Twitter days. Mm-hmm. And you were like, "Hey, I'm not gonna say her name." You're like, "Oh, how you doing?" And she was. The problem was she was our 6th grade teacher, which was a bad idea.
Oh yeah,
because little by little, like we all started realizing that she was hot. Like day 1, we're all like, "Yeah, whatever, yeah, teacher, yuck, or whatever." And then little by little, like one weekend, a kid would come back and be like, "Dude, I'm telling you, she's hot. She's really hot." And we're like, no. And then the next weekend, you're like, "Oh, you're right, she is hot." Like as we were all becoming men at the same time,
As each one of you are hitting puberty, you're like,
you come into school on Monday and be like, "God, those tits! Look at those things!" Like, my God. And then I remember our dad's being like, "Oh God," my dad was the same thing. He was like, "I can't." I remember him talking to my mom, and he was like, "I can't go. I can't go to the parent teacher. Look at the side. Look at the rack. Like, look at those things. I can't go and talk about my child and not, like, focus on what's going on." Like, my God. But yeah, it was very funny. And then by the end of the year, it was like we all knew it, and I think she knew, we all knew, and it was like, yeah, you should maybe teach 3rd graders. It's like a little too. You're too hot for 6th graders, unfortunately. So we couldn't handle it. We just couldn't handle it.
You can't. Yeah, that's the worst day. First day of school, you're all like, "Oh my God, she's 31. Yucky."
Yuck. Right.
she's ancient. Yeah. No doubt. I know. I see it with these kids. It's ridiculous. And who knows? Your kid. Yeah, that's only 5 years away.
I know.
5 years away from the kindergarten. Rich Craich. You gonna do the dopey pre-K and all that nonsense?
Yeah. Maybe.
You seem like a pre-K guy.
I have a strong pre-K energy for sure.
You guys have pre-K energy. There's no doubt about it.
There's a Spanish immersion pre-K school near us. I'm just gonna have him go there, and then he's gonna know. Then he'll come on the show and review CMLL with you. Like, I won't be able to pronounce any of the names, but I'll just have him come in and read them. Him and Chris Zellner will spend the whole time talking, going over all the CMLL names and stuff. And
oh God, Chris busts out that tongue roll. You're like, what? Where did that come from?
I love it. Yeah. Like he'll be the first guest in Between the Sheets history to stay on for the Mexico part, because they always come. Everybody comes on. They do America and they do WCW and WWF, and then then they're like, "All right, let's do Japan and Mexico," and the guest's gone, disappears while Chris tongue rolls
out the guest. Right. Yeah. To be fair, the guest is like, "Guys, I've been here 7 hours. I have to shave again. It's time for me to exit stage left."
Can you read the EMLL results from 1991 on your own, or do I need to be here?
Right, exactly. Because that show, like ours, does not respect brevity.
No,
not respect the brevity. So, listen, there's topics to talk about. You can't cut them short. And for a perfect transition, we have a lot of topics to talk about today on this podcast.
We do indeed. Yeah, here's what we're going to talk about tonight on the Flagship. We are going to preview AEW Full Gear 2025 coming up this weekend, this Saturday. AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view. We'll discuss that show and preview, get you ready for our Instant Reaction Live coming up that night as well. Saturday night, we'll recap and react to Tony Khan's interview with Ariel Helwani. They squashed the beef, and Tony Khan went in person. Talked to Ariel Helwani, so we'll discuss that interview, the nuggets that came out of that. Thoughts on the NWA World Heavyweight Title switch. It finally happened, Joe. It finally happened. I watched it, so I can give you a little bit of a rundown of what's going on. I haven't watched the NWA in I guess since the switch to Roku, but I watched it this week, so I can give you the lowdown on what's going on in the world of the NWA, as well as the World Title switch. I will talk about the ZERO1 versus NOAH show from last week. You kind of did your article about ZERO1, so we'll kind of talk about, kind of checking on ZERO1. You did a written piece for it at flagshippatreon.com about a week or so ago, breaking down the year of ZERO1 in 2025 and the bright spots, the Hayabusa, some things going on in ZERO1. So we'll talk about that show. We'll talk about your column, dig in a little bit on 2025 ZERO1. You also on a Flagship Plus episode this week. FlagshipPatreon.com, Flagship Plus, $5 tier. You reviewed the 11-7 CMLL show and previewed the 11-14 CMLL show. I watched the 11-14 CMLL show, so you and I can both review and recap that show as well. And then a little bit about MLW. They have their Don Gato show happening right now as we speak. We're going head-to-head with MLW. We've been our own... We preview and prop up MLW, and I'll be honest, little light tonight on the live stream. I think we have people ditching us to go watch MLW. What the fuck? What do we do? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a devil of our own creation.
Yeah,
right?
we did this to ourselves. Fuck. All right. So, but we'll talk about the Don Gato show and some news in the world of MLW because they announced a new headquarters for MLW. Some other news and notes going on in that company as well. So classic Flagship here. ZERO1, NWA, MLW. We'll talk Mexico. We'll talk AEW. We'll not talk about WWE. It's just classic Flagship to its team. We're there.
Listen, this sounds like a fun show. Do you really want us to come on here and break down Dolph Ziggler coming back to Monday Night Raw? I mean, does anyone really want to hear that?
No, God, no.
I don't know. Like, who would want to hear that?
The show off Dolph Ziggler. Yep.
Yeah. So, hey, remember we talked about the Don Gato show and the struggling ticket sales. Super no vacancy, full house, Rich Craich. 0 tickets available.
Is that a shoot? That's a shoot. That's a WrestleTix shoot.
According to WrestleTix. That's
wow.
Right. Not according to Mike Johnson, who was fed, information from Cliff Bauer.
Right.
607 tickets set up. 607 tickets distributed. How about that?
Don Gato.
How about that?
It's got a way about him. I'm excited. Can't wait to watch it.
Speaking of paper, I have that friend who gets the free tickets in the New York City area.
the seat filler, yeah.
Well, sometimes it's okay. So here's how it works. He pays a monthly fee to be part of a website where sports teams and Broadway shows and pro wrestling promotions, which is where I'm going with this. When they have free tickets, when they're papering events. These people who pay for this website get first crack at that, right? All you have to do is go on the website, pick your event. They'll show you where the seats are, and you claim them, and you've got yourself some comped tickets, right? It's kind of like a little secret society deal. Full Gear did go up on the site as of 2 days ago. Full Gear. Now, look, they were doing all right. They had like over 8,000 tickets out or something like that. But there will be some paper. There will be some paper for the Full Gear this weekend, as it is up on the paper site. So figured I'd pass that along too.
Does he ever go to Broadway shows, or does he just do sporting? Oh, he does. Oh, wow.
Constantly.
Okay, good. Does he take like dates to Broadway shows and stuff?
Yes.
That's a great gimmick. That's a hell of a gimmick.
It's so smart, because and usually the Broadway tickets, he says, are very good. What it'll be is they don't like, they don't like a lot of like anything. They don't like the empty seats, especially prominent ones.
Mm-hmm,
so sometimes you get very good seats and you get them for nothing. And it looks impressive if you bring a date with your free Bloom That Flowers as well. But the Joe Lanza gimmick. but yeah, no, sometimes it's for seat fillers, which is a different thing.
Okay.
Seat fillers. But it's specified. This is for just comped tickets. They're giving away comp tickets to Full Gear. But sometimes you get a seat filler situation too, especially with wrestling, where it's just WWE does that, where they don't want people get up, go to the bathroom, to concessions. You jump in and sit because they don't want any empty seats being seen on the hard cam. That's something a little different. And that usually is noted because if you're a seat filler, you're expected to move around all night. That's a different kind of gig. We're like, we'll get you in, but you're essentially working. Because you gotta fill these seats. But this is different, where you're just getting set tickets and you're in. You're just comp tickets, so you just sit there and watch the show. So he did note though that in the case of Full Gear, it's not, you can't pick your own seats and you don't know what seats you're going to get. So
so they're gonna find where there's gaps and then put him there a day of probably.
Well, yeah, he's not going because he's like, I don't know if they're going to stick me up in the 300s or something. I don't want to. I'd rather just watch from home.
And he likes the finer things in his life these days.
No, but of course,
because he gets those Broadway setups. Yeah, that's I went to a comedy show a couple of weeks ago, and same deal. There was a couple of seats, so it was like a pretty full house. Like I think it was sold out or whatever, but some people just didn't show up or whatever. And they were asking people like if you going before they started the show, because they were doing it for they were taping it for a YouTube special as well. I think YouTube, or maybe it might be a Netflix special. I forget which one it was going to go, but they were. Yeah, they were just counting any empty seat that was available around the stage, like anywhere, like anywhere around the stage, because they had this there was this kind of row of seats way in the back that you could tell was behind the cameras or whatever. That was whatever. So that was full. So what they would do is basically go up and be like, hey, if you're a group of 3, you want to go right here? And the people next to us got up right next to the stage, literally the best 2 seats in the entire house, just because the person went up and said, we need to fill this right now, so if you want those seats, they're yours now. We closed the doors, these people didn't show up, these seats are yours if they want it. So that was nice too. You pay whatever amount you pay, and then you get it massively upgraded. So that could potentially happen in the case of your friend, but he's he doesn't know if he's going to get sent up in the fucking rafters, and then he's like, I don't care, I don't need to be there that badly.
Yeah. As of yesterday, they had 8,331 tickets distributed with a 93.84 setup. So, and look, they're going to have you would think they'd have over 9,000 people in the building, somewhere around that setup number when it's all said and done. A little over 1,000 tickets available as of yesterday. And yesterday is when the event went up on the site. So, to some degree, they're going to have some, and I'm sure that's not the only method they use to give the freebies out, but should be a decent gate and all that. But you want to just do Full Gear right now?
Let's do it. Yeah, we're talking
Full Gear.
Yeah, we're talking about it right now. So let's do it. We'll talk about we'll start with the Saturday night tailgate. Saturday tailgate brawl. So 4 matches on this so far. We have Eddie Kingston and Hook versus the Workhorsemen. So in our notes, I have TBD, but by the time the notes got released and it looks like it got clarified that it'll be the Workhorsemen that will be there against Hook and Eddie Kingston. You can safely imagine that's just an easy way to get Eddie Kingston and Hook another win, and I guess they're just going to do this gimmick where they wrestle on the pre-show, they beat someone easily, and time moves on, I guess, with Eddie Kingston and Hook.
Yeah.
$200,000 4-way tag team match. Big Bill and Brian Keith, Bowens and Caster, the Outrunners, and the Bang Bang Gang of Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson. So, sure. Get everybody on the show, I guess. Fine. Whatever.
Get into it.
Yeah, can't get too excited about that, unfortunately. Speaking of not getting excited, RPG Vice, Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta versus Boom and Doom of Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall. I cannot believe we're still doing Big Boom.
We're still doing
By the way, where's the apology tour? I want written I don't even want digital apologies. I want written apologies to these people.
Yeah.
That told us, guys, you don't understand. They have 19 million followers on TikTok. Their videos do insane numbers. They go viral all the time. And we said, this is stupid and it's going to do nothing. Zero for their business. No, it's going to get new kids are going to know about it now. New people are going to learn about AEW that didn't know about it before. It's huge. They're giant. They're giant stars. That wasn't that long ago, Joe, that these guys were giant stars that were going to, help prop up AEW's business during a potential down period. And now it's like the 15 minutes of fame are so over, right? Between
over.
Big Boom AJ. I'm reading and I'm like,
still doing this.
What?
We're still doing this.
Boom and Doom. This guy's gonna go out here and go boom in front of this crowd. And I always thought when they were doing it in the peak, quote unquote, peak of their powers or whatever, of how embarrassing it would be to go back and look at whatever. What was the show? I don't even remember the show that they debuted on or whatever, and go back and look at that and be like, my God, this was on a pro wrestling television show. This geek doing his little dance, going boom. How many booms? 5 booms. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
But it's worth it, Joe, because they have 99 million followers on TikTok. So, and as we've seen businesses clearly 5 booms and not 0 booms. But
as we give away tickets in New Jersey where they're from. It's when I don't know when we're going to give up on this. Congratulations to Big Justice. He also had his first child. He's 23 years old now. Big Justice. That's how long it's been with these.
The Rizzler, I think, has he broken free of them? I think he got more over than them. So I don't know if he broke free.
He's over. He's finished too.
Is he done? Is the Rizzler done too? Good.
God,
right,
yes.
good.
Nobody cares about the Rizzler anymore. Come on. Who cares about any of these people? It's very fleeting. Them and the Haktua girl, the whole gang.
Well, she got her. There were some other reasons why she disappeared, but these things have like such a small shelf life, and that's why I think it's so ridiculous to try to like compare them to. And I remember at the time too how dumb all the discourse was. People were like, "Well, Mike Tyson and Mr. T," and I'm like, Mike Tyson and Mr. T are massive stuff. These guys are fake, like they're fake popular on TikTok. Like the social media does not matter, people. It doesn't translate.
Mike Tyson, comparing him to one of the most famous athletes of the
right. That's like, no.
20th century.
What are you doing? You don't have to do this. We could all just admit it's stupid, right? And you could all apologize to us for arguing with us that this was always from day one stupid, and they're still doing it.
Maybe they come cheap. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, now they do. I'm sure. Remember when Big Boom said that he called WWE and they were like, "No, we're not interested." So then he called AEW and they said, "Yeah, sure."
Is that really how that happened?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He said that publicly. And Tony's still using them. I don't think I'd use him anymore if I was Tony, if he said that. That's crazy. Remember he got caught with the WWE belts and Tony had him take it down off of social media?
The replica belt.
The replica belt.
Because they were advertising like the cards or whatever. I forget what company, Tops or something like that.
Panini.
Yeah. Panini. They should, you know what? I would have given, Big Boom AJ deserves a Panini sponsorship for sure.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I gotta watch this guy. Like, my God.
Guy ate a lot of chicken bakes and double chunk chocolate cookies to get where he's at. And you've got no respect. I
want the apology to be as loud as the disrespect of people arguing with us about Big Boom AJ, but quiet.
Like nice
Crickets.
Seem like nice people.
Crickets. They do seem like a nice family.
Seem like nice people. So.
Yeah, not excited about that match. I am excited about this match, though. A fucking incredible match. Stuck here on the Saturday tailgate brawl. I wonder. I want your thoughts on this. Do you think Tony likes the idea of doing the match that bleeds into the pay-per-view and wants to do it again?
Now listen, I hope he does it again to annoy all of the right people. Not just because it's a great idea and it's fun and it feels organic and it feels like pro wrestling, but to annoy all of the right people. I want to see Raj Giri just completely waste 8 more days of his life ranting and raving and complaining about it and arguing with people. So I do hope they do it again. The thing is, if you do it every show, then it doesn't feel organic anymore. Right. Like the whole point is it's supposed to feel natural and organic, but then if you do it every time, it defeats that purpose. So maybe you don't come right back and do it again. Maybe you can run out of time on the pre-show and tell people that if they want to see this match, it's going to open the paper. Maybe you could do something like that, right? And actually have it
a little bait and switch. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. A little
bait and switch, because who's going to complain about a pre-show match not happening on the pre-show? You'd have to be a real petty human being to complain about something like that. That's just moving a match from the pre-show to the pay-per-view. And when you look at the level of star power in this match, and I talked about this on the Dynamite review today, you've got Okada, you've got the IWGP champion Takeshita, and you've got, oh, by the way, maybe the biggest pro wrestling star in the world, Mystico, all in this match, and you're doing it on the pre-show. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, why isn't this a pay-per-view match? I don't understand why this isn't a pay-per-view match. I'm thinking a match of this caliber, not to mention the fact that it's part of one of the top line stories in the company, which
that's the other thing that's kind of surprising to me is that Okada and Takeshita is like, I mean, going into the Continental Classic, a major story.
Right. With 2 headline guys. And again, the world champion of one of your partner promotions. and then the biggest star of your other partner promotion. And if they, had a promotion that had quote unquote world, he'd surely be the champion if their promotion worked that way. They just don't do things that way. And he's probably the wrestler of the year. And it's like, you're putting this on the pre-show. Now that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This is the kind of match that I think I'd want to have on my pay-per-view. I would think that maybe there's a lot of Lucha Libre fans who would maybe go, all right, fine, I'll plunk over the $40-$50 to watch Sky Team defend these trios titles against these 3 stars or whatever. But, they're doing it on the pre-show, I guess. And unless there's,
something's, I feel like something's going to be up with this. Like either, like you said, we're gonna say, oh, we're out of time. We're going to do this match, do the entrances on the tailgate brawl and do the actual match itself on the main show. Maybe a way to kind of get people to tune in to the pre-show, watch it, but don't give them the full match. Like it just seems wild to have this match. So by the way, the full match is Sky Team, Masquerade Dorada, Mystico, and Neon versus the Don Callis family, Hechicero, Okada, and Takeshita. So, that's a fucking hell of a match right there. There's a lot of big time stars and big time names, a giant feud that matters in your company, the world champion in New Japan, like you said, the biggest star in CMLL. Like it's, your world champion in one of your partner promotions, the biggest star in your other partner promotion, dynamic, 2 of the most dynamic workers in one of your partner promotions, the guy that's going to be a central figure of your upcoming tournament that starts in a couple days. And Hechicero's there too, and Hechicero rocks. So it's like, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, I do wonder if there's something weird with this. It can't just simply be they want people to watch this pre-show. You want to try to convert those people that are watching that pre-show to then go and buy the pay-per-view or some sort. So
yeah, you put your better matches on your pay-per-view. People understand that the pre-show is going to be preliminary matches. People get that. They understand that. So, this isn't a situation where you necessarily load up your pre-show. And again, it's not just a random 6-man with a bunch of good people. There's an important storyline aspect to this too, which might end up hurting the match because it just might end up being all about Okada and Takeshita. Can they coexist?
Oh yeah. They'll look at each other and give each other weird tags or not tag each other.
It might even affect the finish. So from that standpoint, but when I look at this, I don't understand why that's on the pre-show and the 4-way women's tag is on the pay-per-view. The 4-way women's tag with the stupid thing where the winning team chooses the stipulation for the semifinal match in the women's tag team tournament that never ends. Boy, did that thing lose steam. That tournament stinks. But, that match there's like 2 comedy teams in that match. Nobody gives a shit who wins. That has pre-show match written all over it. That is a pre-show match if I've ever seen one. But I think what's happening here is Tony looked at this card and said, well, I only have 1 women's match otherwise. And if I only put 1 women's match on the pay-per-view, I'm going to catch a bunch of shit for that.
Correct.
So you got to have that second women's match. So I think that's why the 4-way women's tag, first of all, I think that's the only reason it exists. And I think that's the reason why it ended up on the card. He didn't have another women's match because, I don't know why he couldn't have done something more meaningful with the women's division other than this silly 4-way. But anyway, I would have made that switch and I just would have dealt with whatever silly social. It means nothing. So I just would have dealt with the social media anger that would have went away in 12 hours. And I would have put the better and more interesting and better drawing match on my pay-per-view. I would have put that 6-man on the pay-per-view and I would have put the 4-way women's match, which is going to be loaded with shtick. I don't know if you saw Dynamite last night.
I did.
But
yeah.
The timeless love bombs and the babes of wrath. It's just all goofy fucking nonsense.
Yeah,
so
tongue-in-cheek, wink bullshit, yeah.
Perfect for the pre-show. Perfect for the pre-show. So I would have made that switch, because there's no other match to bump. Every other match on the pay-per-view is a legitimate, well-built, or pay-per-view caliber match other than that women's 4-way. So it just sticks out like a sore thumb, and you wonder, is something afoot with that 6-man where it's on the pre-show? It's very strange.
Right. As you were mentioning, I was trying to think, is this like the most consequential pre-show match ever? I'm trying to think of another pre-show, like a pay-per-view that had a pre-show match that mattered this much and featured this many top. Because it's not just like we're being dorks and we're like, oh, these are good workers. Like, it's not just that. Okada is a major figure in AEW. Takeshita is a major figure in AEW. It's not just simply, hey,
and they're in a major story.
Right. It's not just like we're being nerds and we're like, no, Mystico and Neon, they're great wrestlers and Dorada's incredible. Right. Like, no, we're not doing that. Like,
it's not Sky Team versus
LFI
Commander,
or whatever. Yeah, or Commander. Right.
You know, and it's just like we want to see the flippy doos on the pay-per-view. No, it's a huge match.
It's a match with a ton of
lot
consequences and story built into it. Yeah.
World champion from New Japan, a championship team from your other promotional partner, 3 of the biggest stars in the world, a major storyline. It's just strange that it's a pre-show match, but I guess either way, we're going to watch the match either way.
Sure. It's just, it's interesting.
It's going to happen. I just think it's a very strange decision. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go to the main show here. No holds barred. Jon Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly. I like the little mini micro story I've told with Kyle O'Reilly, and I hope this is the beginning of him maybe not, losing some of the shtick and just being a badass and trying that for a little bit. I don't know if you're going to draw money with Kyle O'Reilly as a grappling badass worker, but fuck, after that blood and guts match where he's drenched in blood and working his ass off and getting the win, tapping out Jon Moxley, like I think that's a great opportunity to move him into a different thing and try to maybe drop the shtick. Him and Roddy, I think we're well overdue. Okay. I know. Yeah.
Okay, Rich.
All right. I'm optimistic about this world these days, but you're right. You're right. I should temper.
Listen, I would love that. I would love nothing more than that. If you give Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong a serious presentation, you saw what Roderick Strong could do last night. I thought he was fantastic in that tag team match on Dynamite. Kyle O'Reilly between the bells is awesome, but this whole cool Kyle sitcom character shit, it's the shits. And the Roderick Strong thing has been the shits for a long time. And the problem is for me, it takes the edge off of their work. I can't invest in them the way I want to invest in them when they're presented the way that they're presented. So it hurts it for me. I can compartmentalize, I guess, and watch this match and enjoy it for what it is. But, then next week we're going to be right back to, Alicia Atute in the back with the conglomeration, and they're all going to be whooping it up and doing unfunny comedy, and it's just going to take all the edge off again. So, I just look. It's not that there's no place in a wrestling promotion for that stuff. It's just AEW has a lot of it. I mean, we just talked about it in that women's 4-way where 2 of the teams are basically comedy teams. And I don't know.
There's a lot of winking at the camera. There's a lot of winking at the camera up and down the show. And that
there's just an air of goofiness around so much of the stuff in AEW. And it's just a lot. It's a lot.
So my question about this match to you is, Jon Moxley lost at Blood and Guts, and that was, another big loss that he took. He tapped out at All In after his backup was no longer there, and there was nobody else left, and he was just done. He tapped out at Blood and Guts, obviously, we saw. He tapped out against Darby. So that's now 3 times, I should say, that he has just given up when he didn't have his backup with him. And I kind of thought we were going to start telling the story of him and the rest of the Death Riders kind of looking at this guy and being like, this guy's a false prophet. This guy, talks a big game, but doesn't really deliver it. And I was kind of interested on Dynamite. It felt like we're trying to kind of reignite Jon Moxley a little bit and kind of get him back on track. And I don't know if that's quite the right way to go about it. So my question to you is, does Moxley just beat the hell out of this guy, or does Kyle get him again? And now this is the impetus for the people to say, okay, this guy, because that's I think that's the way we're going with the story. At least that's my read on it, is that the story is going to, these guys are looking at Moxley as a guy who gives up when they're not there to back him up. So why are we still backing this guy up? This is not our guy. This is not our leader. Let's move on. But I don't know. It seems like I'm telling that story, and I don't know that they're telling that story.
I think a lot of people are sort of doing the headcanon and telling that story like you are, and I don't know if it's necessarily coming. Maybe that's just because that makes the most pro wrestling sense, right? Eventually, the Death Riders have to come to an end, and that would be the best way for it to come to an end when they start seeing through this guy who's full of shit. But I don't know, maybe that's not happening as quickly as people think, and maybe it's not happening at all. Maybe that's not how the Death Riders go out. I get it. I get why you think that. I get why other people think that. And maybe you'll be right. Maybe this will be the start of it. No holds barred. Maybe the conglomeration runs off the Death Riders here and O'Reilly just beats them fair and square. And then maybe we do see some seeds of dissent with the Death Riders in the follow-up. Yeah, that's possible. Or maybe that's not going to happen at all. And everybody's just kind of worked themselves into a shoot that's how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I'm real curious. I'm curious if Kyle O'Reilly gets this win and they're really, they really try to push him for whatever, amount it is, or if Moxley just gets his win back here. And like you said, kind of resets that story a little bit, and then it happens a little bit more down the line. But we'll see. I'm interested in that match, though. I mean, I know Moxley's going to work his ass off. I know O'Reilly is going to work his ass off, because once the shtick goes away, I mean, O'Reilly's a phenomenal worker. No holds barred, so it'll get a little bloody, a little brutal. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in that match, because I think the work in it is going to be pretty great. And speaking of, this match, I think is also going to be really great. Pac versus Darby Allin. So it kind of came together at the last minute, announced for the show, and it's happening. Pac versus Darby Allin. That should, again, be great.
You know what I was thinking about with this? This has no stipulation. It's not for any kind of title. It's not an eliminator match. There's nothing attached to this. It's just Pac versus Darby Allin. That's it.
It's refreshing.
Just a match. Do you realize how rare that is for an AEW pay-per-view? Mm-hmm. To just have a match that's just
nothing
a match.
else we're going to talk about the rest of the night is a match. Right. That's all got something.
And if you look historically at AEW pay-per-views, I would say conservatively 90% of AEW pay-per-view matches have some kind of stipulation or are for one of their 47 different titles. And this is just a match, which means I'm fully expecting before Saturday for some tweet to go out.
A ladder match.
Where
it's now a ladder match. It's like, no.
Where they're gonna wrestle in a graveyard or something, because
right.
Darby,
it's a fire match. It's gonna turn into a fire match.
Yeah,
an inferno match.
Yeah. So to me, from that standpoint, it's AEW is the kind of place Tony loves to load up the gimmicks. It's a place where two guys just having a match has turned into the novelty. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around?
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be where you have a 9-match pay-per-view and you have 7 matches that are just, matches between people? Now look, built matches between people who are feuding with each other and have personal issues and grudges or whatever, sure. And then you have 2 or 3 matches that have some stakes for a title, or have a stipulation, or there's a big blow off because this is the end of the feud, or whatever the fuck. You do a goofy casino gauntlet or something like they're doing. But no, in AEW, it's the reverse, right? We're looking at Darby Allin, Pac, and we're all thinking, okay, what are they going to do to gimmick this up? Because it doesn't feel right. It feels weird. Like, I feel like there's some pre-tape or something that they haven't shown us yet that they're going to use to maybe on the pre-show, maybe on the Saturday barbecue bash or whatever the fuck it's called. They're going to run some angle or something. And again, like I said, it's going to end up being a fucking tombstone match or some shit. They got to stuff each other in a coffin and light it on fire.
Match. Yeah.
And throw it off the Brooklyn Bridge and whatever the fuck, maybe that'll happen, but it's just because it's strange. It's odd.
Definitely.
But I'm all for it.
More of this. Very refreshing. Speaking of gimmicks and stipulations and stuff, $1 million 6-man tag team title match, or title match. 6-man tag match here. Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. Just as I hope and I pray that Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong stop the winking at the camera, nudge, nudge bullshit gimmicks that they have. Can the Bucks just win this match? And can we please stop the broke Bucks thing? This is the perfect opportunity. In my mind, and I've kind of in my headcanon again, my headcanon's doing it again, that they win this match. Alexander and the Bucks win this match. And then afterwards, everybody beats down Kenny Omega and the Bucks come to save Kenny Omega. They have their money and they also turn back face. They realign with Kenny Omega and the Elite. We can kind of finish up 2 stories at the same time. Like, can I just get I'm ready. I'm ready for a different story with the Young Bucks. I can't do we don't have money and we're broke and we're not sure what group we're going to join and stuff. Like, I don't know. To me, it seems so obvious that we're moving the Bucks back with Omega and the Elite that you kind of get caught in that trap sometimes with AEW where that's exactly the opposite and they don't do the obvious story. And I've been calling for the Bucks to, do this for a while now, and they haven't. But this is the perfect opportunity. They can win the match. They can win their $1 million. Don Callis' family can say, all right, now we're going to beat down Kenny Omega. Come on, let's do it. And then they have a change of heart, and they say, no. And they help Kenny Omega, and they win the money, and they go back with Omega, and we can just move on with our lives. I don't know.
I think that it's obvious with their facial expressions and everything that they're very reluctant to join the Don Callis family. I mean, none of this is subtle, and it's just because they're broke. They're going along with all of this, and Callis is way too over the top about it. And yeah, I think that this ends with the Bucks and Kenny Omega coming back together. And I think a dark horse scenario is the Jurassic Express joining the Don Callis.
Yes, I like that. Because they don't
So
make
that's what
sense. They don't make sense as baby faces because they're like kind of baby faces right now.
No,
and I look at these guys, I'm like, these are not baby faces. Get the fuck out of here. These are heels, clearly heels.
So yeah, I pitched that on the Dynamite review. I think that putting them back together, you had to do it as baby faces because people were going to pop for it, right? And you play the stupid song and people like to sing along with it and wave their hands. So it's the kind of thing like, you know how we talk about sometimes when MJF comes back from his longer hiatuses, he almost has to come back as a babyface at first because he's going to get the babyface reaction.
Right.
We've talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
Kind of the same deal here. You're going to put this tag team back together that was an AEW original act or whatever, however you want to term it, going back to the Jacksonville days, 2019. Jack Perry kind of stripping it back down and going back after a bunch of failed attempts to push him as a single. So to establish that, right, you have them work as baby faces for a couple of months. Now, the hardcore freakazoids have pointed out that there have been some subtle mannerisms and actions by Jack Perry that suggest that he has other plans other than just being the Jurassic Express is back together again. Sort of the subtle ways he treats the dinosaur man, making him do all the work in the matches, et cetera, right? So this would be your classic Tatanka Lex Luger swerve that we always reference in situations like this. The Bucks never answered Don Callis. They seem very uneasy about joining the Don Callis family. They don't seem like they want to do it. So this could be a situation where, no matter who wins, Don Callis is demanding answers. Are you going to join the Don Callis family or not? Maybe the Bucks lose and it's their fault, and Don Callis is reading them the riot act. And then maybe, Omega saves them. There's a lot of different things you could do. And then the Jurassic Express turn on everybody. And then that's the big swerve. And then Don Callis is pointing at his temple and, whatever the fuck. I'm just thinking, I don't think what you're going to see is the Bucks and Josh Alexander win and then the Bucks shake Don Callis' hand.
Right. I feel like that scenario I got like a 0% chance of that happening. I just don't see that.
And it would make sense to put the Bucks. Look, Kenny Omega kind of feels like he's not part of not just because he's not always around either. It's just he doesn't feel like he's part of the fabric of the promotion these days, And I feel like if you put the Elite back together and then you can put them in an extended feud with the Don Callis family, and it would feel like that's a big part of AEW that hasn't felt whole in a long time. Having the Bucks and Kenny Omega be in prominent positions and together against what is clearly now the top heel force in the company. So at the end of the day, when the dust settles, I think we'll see Omega and the Bucks back together. The question is, are they trying to double swerve us here and with Jack Perry and the Dinosaur joining the Don Callis family?
You bring up a great point about the Elite just feeling, Kenny specifically, but I think the Bucks too, they kind of just feel listless in this company a lot. They don't feel like they matter at all. They feel like they're just kind of just dudes on the roster. Kenny feels like a part-time guy that they bring in occasionally as like a special guest, to occasional pay-per-views. And that probably shouldn't be the fact ever. As long as Kenny is able to wrestle, he should feel like a bigger part of this company. And the Bucks should also feel like a bigger part of the company. I'm not saying that Kenny needs to win the world title and the Bucks have to win the tag team titles. They need to be in main events or whatever, but they shouldn't matter. And they haven't really mattered in a while. Kenny specifically has it's been a very long time since it felt like he truly mattered. So I think that's a great opportunity to get those guys involved and back in the fabric of the company, like you said, and back in the mix of the company. And even if Kenny's not wrestling every single week on TV, which nobody's expecting him to do at this time, as long as they're aligned together and the Elite are facing the Don Callis family and they're involved in big 6-man tag matches and occasional tag matches and occasional singles matches along the way or whatever with Kenny, I think that's good. And that's healthy. And I think that's what we need with these guys because they just have felt very, very listless for a while. And Kenny more than anybody just feels like a guy who, when he shows up, you forget. You're like, oh yeah, Kenny Omega. It's like in this company and a part of this company, but he doesn't matter right now. He doesn't feel like he matters. He doesn't feel like a person that anybody really, when you think of AEW, you do not think of Kenny Omega anymore at all.
You don't.
How many guys do you have to go through before you get to Kenny Omega that you think of in this company? I mean, it's a lot. It's so, like, again, I said, when he shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, right, Kenny. I forget that he's in this company.
He works here. Now, the other piece of this to consider as well is another person who's about to get a mega push is about to be at odds with the Don Callis family, and that's Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah.
And who is he aligned with historically?
Yeah, Kenny Omega. Yeah, it's perfect.
So it all makes a lot of sense. And and Takeshita can realign himself with Kenny, and Kenny can realign himself with the Bucks, and then you've got a potential blood and guts match next year, right? With the Don Callis family and these guys. There's a million things you could do from there if they're going to have a long-term feud. So I don't know, or maybe we're just overthinking it and they won't do anything creative.
Like I said, Josh Alexander and the Bucks win. The Bucks shake Don Callis' hand and they go, we're good. And then they just take their money and they leave. And then Josh Alexander and the other guys beat up on Kenny Omega. And then just, I don't know. Yeah. And then Kenny gets taken out on a stretcher with blood coming out of his mouth. And we're like, no, not again. We can't do this again. No, stay. You have to stay.
We get the double swerve of the Bucks look like they're not going to do it, but that means they're really going to do it. It just gets super through the looking glass and swerves on top of swerves, and Vince Russo shadow booking it all. So I don't know. I
have absolutely nothing to talk about, and I don't think you do either. Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne versus the Sisters of Sin versus the Timeless Love Bombs versus the Babes of Wrath.
So this match just epitomizes to me modern day AEW in a way that it's like, look, I think this match is going to get great reactions in front of the live crowd. Okay. I think this match is going to be over as fuck. I think that the crowd loves Toni Storm.
There will be a lot of bits that will be very over, I believe. Yes.
A lot of bits that'll be very over. They love Toni and Mina. And as of last night, the Timeless Love Bombs have shot to number 1 on my rankings.
When I saw that dance routine in the entrance, I was like, God. Joe is I could hear the pen thrown onto the ground. You're like, come on.
Seriously, they are now my least favorite act in all of pro wrestling. I can't stand this team. The Babes of Wrath, they're nipping at the heels.
Not far behind.
Right?
Not far
behind.
It's
but look, this stuff's all going to be over in the building. But here's the thing, and I want to try to make sure I make my point properly here. Okay, this match will get great reactions and all of that. But it's the kind of pro wrestling reactions that I am just thoroughly tired and sick of, because while everyone in that building will be super entertained by this and enjoy themselves watching this, and there'll be plenty of chanting and like you said, lots of bits that are over, not a single one of the 10,000 people in that building are going to give a single shit who wins this match. It literally does not matter to anyone. Nobody fucking cares who wins this match. Is there going to be a single fan in Newark, New Jersey, watching this match, and that's going to scoot up in their little comp seat and go, oh, man, I'm sweating this one out, because if the Sisters of Sin don't come home with it, they're not going to be able to make the stipulation for this semifinal
or talking match. They're in line to get into the building, and they're like, so who do you think's going to win, and what stipulation are they going to pick? Well, I think the Babes of Wrath are going to win, and I think they're going to pick this stipulation. Like, there's not going to be a single person.
Nobody fucking cares. And it doesn't matter at all who wins, and no one gives a shit about the stipulation. Okay? You know what it is? It's a fucking NXT match. In the sense that Full Sail just wants to chant. They want to wait for the right opportunity to go, this is awesome. The first time that somebody does a spot, they want to react to whatever the fucking emotes is that the person in the ring does, that they do on TV every week. That's what this is. This is a fucking Full Sail match happening on an AEW pay-per-view. And AEW has plenty of these themselves, but I'm trying to draw a comp here, where it's like, yeah, sure, it's getting reactions, but it's empty. It's soulless. It's just empty fucking miming is what the fans will be doing during this match, and no one truly is emotionally invested in who wins, what happens, what the consequences are, these drummed up bullshit stakes that Tony came up with to just complicate everything. Okay. Conversely, you're going to have 10,000 people in that building who are living and dying with everything that Hangman Page does, because they love the guy and they don't want to see him lose his title. And I don't think that no one thinks that Joe is a serious contender who can win, but you get what I'm saying here. Okay. I'll give you a better example. Brodito and FTR. That place is going to be unglued for Brodito and unglued booing FTR.
Yeah, they do not want those fuckers to win those titles, and they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that Bandito and Brody King are going to will themselves to beat those fuckers. Yes.
And the whole story of the match is going to be the crowd getting behind Brodito because their whole gimmick is we never stop fighting. There's heart there. There's a soul. There's emotion. People care about the result. Okay? And it's like, that's the difference. And that's why this 4-way is the epitome of the kind of match that just fucking annoys me. Just put it on the pre-show. It's a perfect pre-show match. That's the kind of energy you want on a pre-show.
Yes, that coming before and or after the Big Boom AJ match is perfect. Because it's bits.
Yes.
It's bits, and it's comedy, and it's wink.
And you know it's going to get a reaction. And people watching for free, they're going to see this live, vibrant crowd of people who are into the show. And the whole idea of the pre-show is to give people FOMO, right? You want them to think, I got to order this show. You know, and that's the kind of match that can deliver that because there's no stakes, but it's also at the same time, it's going to be over, you know? So it's like, I hate the fucking match, but I wouldn't even be having this rant. I wouldn't be talking about the match. I wouldn't be burying the match if it was a pre-show match.
It's taking up valuable space on this pay-per-view. Yeah, it's taking up valuable space on this pay-per-view.
You know, did I sit here and rant and rave about the men's 4-way? That's a pointless match too that nobody gives a shit about, but it's on the pre-show, so who gives a shit? If they had that 4-way $200,000 tag on the pay-per-view, I'd be saying all the same shit. Except in the case of that match, none of those people are over like Tony Storm is over. So it'd be even worse. Well, I don't know. I guess Caster and Bowens, and it's the same fucking idea. They're identical matches. The Outrunners.
Yeah, there'll be bits. Shit. Yeah, there's the Outrunners. There's the there's the Acclaim. There's the Outrunners. It's same. Yeah, very similar.
So I'm selling that match short. It's the same shit. You know what I mean? And it's like. So I don't know. That's and to me, you know, that's the kind of match that I fucking loathe. I fucking hate it because it doesn't matter who wins. No one in the building cares who wins. No one gives a shit who picks the stip. It's a bunch of fucking nonsense.
Right. AEW National Title Casino Gauntlet match. So we know that Shelton Benjamin's going to be in there. We know that Bobby Lashley's going to be in there. Those are going to be the first two guys out. We also know Ricochet, Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and that's all we know so far that are going to be a part of this Casino Gauntlet match to win the AEW National Title, the brand new national title.
I haven't kept up. Is Mike Bailey okay? Was that just
so what I don't know that there's been any news about that. I think I listened to your segment where you talked about that. My interpretation of that spot was, and I forget who else had this thought, and I kind of watched it and I was like, yeah, I guess I see that. I think what happened is Mike Bailey thought, hey, that was a hell of a super kick. It looked good. It sounded good. Let's just have that be the finish. And because I watched back in the match, because I'm always fascinated. When things break down, I'm always fascinated to see what happens. And I think what happened was, because you could see him sort of motion to Shelton and say something.
He gave him the squeeze.
Yes. And I think the idea was
the Iggy, as our friend
he did
Bob
give him the Iggy. Bob Fish, yes. Let us know about the Iggy. He gives him the Iggy. And I think his idea was, and I forget who I was listening to that said this. My life's a blur now, and I listen to things, and I have no idea what I was listening to at whatever hour I was listening to it.
You do nothing but listen to podcasts constantly.
Yes, but I don't remember who's talking or when or why. But
or what they're
but I'm listening to things, and I'm sort of listening, kind of, but also staring off in the distance. But someone said that their thought was that super kick, because it looked great. It landed perfectly. It sounded like a gunshot. And I think the idea was, you know what? Let's just have that be the finish. Bump. Yeah, and he took a great bump. And I think he said, you know what, dude? Let's not go to the other super kick. Let's just have it end there. Yeah. The problem is, and this is another issue with, I think, modern pro wrestling, is that the referees are aware of the finish and the referees know what it's supposed to be. And you have producers and coaches that tell the production team, this is what the finish of the match is going to be. And something organic like Mike Bailey possibly telling Shelton, hey, that looked and sounded great. That's our finish. We're good. Just go home. 1-2. Then the ref goes, no. I'm told it's going to be 2 super kicks. And the production truck is told, no, it's going to be 2 super kicks. That's going to happen before. So that's what I think happened. I think Mike Bailey was trying to be a real pro wrestler and saying, hey, this is great. Let's just end this now because we're not going to get a better super kick than what we just got. You know, I don't need to kick out of your super kick and then just take another super kick. That one looks great and sounded great. We're good. I took a huge bump. It's perfect. But we're so regimented and so production heavy and so everything has got to be so laid out that Turner didn't call it like a shoot. And that's one of the reasons. And WWE would always, you know, and it would bite them in the ass sometimes. But I believe WWE referees were always told in the Vince McMahon era, call it like a shoot. If the guy's shoulders don't go up, just count it down. You know, it's up to the wrestlers to kick out.
Vince would go back and forth on that, but there were many periods where, yes, he asked them to call like a shoot.
Yeah, and I think
Vince, he would get in his moods.
Yeah, sure. Remember the 2 out of 3 falls mood? That's my favorite Vince McMahon mood ever.
Yeah.
Is like 8 years ago, he just decided God damn it, why is every match not 2 out of 3 falls? And it's like, well, it's 2017. Why would we do that? Like, we haven't.
Well, he thought they would work better for the television format because it would provide a natural break. Was his idea was.
Yeah.
And it lasted, 2 months?
About 2 months. It was very strange. And it came out of nowhere, and then it disappeared out of nowhere. Probably with the same Vince McMahon showed up to the office once and went, God damn it, what are these 2 out of 3 false matches? Bruce, what are you doing? Why'd you do this? And, I guess Bruce was gone at that time. Whoever he was yelling at that time, why, God damn it, why are we doing these 2 out of 3 false matches? These are stupid. So, yeah, I don't know. That's my interpretation of it, because I don't think that Bayley was knocked out. I don't think he looked knocked out. I mean, he took the next spots perfectly fine. If he was truly knocked out, it would have looked a little bit more awkward, but it really didn't look awkward. It was just like the awkwardness was everybody sort of stopping and being like, what the fuck? And MVP having to rush in and kind of give them a second to figure out what they were going to do. But I didn't interpret it that Mike Bayley got like knocked out or anything. And I haven't heard anything since then. So that's how I looked at it. And again, I forget who put that germ in my brain, but I thought it was Mike Bayley calling an audible and just kind of looking at how wrestling works these days. Is you can't do that because the coaches and the production team and the referees don't know that you're.
Well, the ref wasn't in on it. Like,
right.
He may have mumbled something to the ref and he gave Shelton the squeeze, but then the ref doesn't, is kind of left between a rock and a hard place. Like, do I count the fall at the risk of upsetting how the match was supposed to be laid out? Or the ref wasn't. I think you might be right. The way that it played out, I think he might have thought that it just looked badass, and he felt, I'm just going to stay down.
The Shermanator has a good point too. He says it looks like Speedball gave him a good match squeeze that involved a little too much moving, and the referee maybe reacted like it was a kick out. That's possible too.
Yeah. It's very clear though that the ref didn't think that was the finish because he did the whole the shoulder was up when the shoulder was not even anywhere near up. And it was clear that Shelton was supposed to win because they had the match graphic ready. So it's not as if the wrong guy won.
Correct.
You can go more down the road of maybe this guy got hurt if the wrong guy won, but he didn't because they wouldn't have had the graphic ready that fast with Shelton and Bob Lash in the match. So yeah, I don't know. If we haven't heard anything by now, then I think what you're saying is probably more along the lines of what happened versus him getting knocked loopy. And if he was knocked loopy, would they have done another overhead toss and another super kick to the face?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like what would have probably happened is there would have been a more of a slowdown, and MVP would have come in and they would have maybe figured out, okay, what are we going to do that doesn't involve me kicking you in the head and throwing you on the back of your head again? Right. What are we going to do? So the way I look at it is, it was either what Shermanator said, where he gave him the Iggy, and it was a little too much Iggy. Paul Turner thought it was a kick out, or Speedball called an audible with the Iggy and kind of said, hey, that's it. Let's just go home. And then the referee just in his brain thought, no, it's 2 kick outs, or it's this, or whatever. I don't know what the finish was supposed to be or whatever, but that's, I don't know.
So Tony Khan, since I guess I didn't discuss no, we did discuss this, the national title thing. So he did have a conversation with Billy Corgan and walked back this idea that the AEW version of this title is going to have any kind of lineage or connection to the original national title, and conceded that to Billy Corgan in the NWA. He also, and this is from the Helwani, and we'll talk about the Helwani thing, but he also told Helwani that he also conceded the Shockwave trademark to the NWA as well, because he wasn't aware that they had been using that for some of their shows. So I don't want to say that, my little conversation spurred all of this when I reached out to say what's going on with these two things, but I think it spurred all of this and it got those two guys on the phone and Tony just, what's the point of fighting over, it's like we talked about, the name Shockwave holds no value. You just call it something else if you come up with another show. It's not that big a deal, And the national title thing, I think Tony probably, as we sort of speculated, he probably had no clue that title was currently in existence in Billy Corgan's NWA. You think he's sitting there watching the Roku channel on a week in, week out basis?
Probably
what's
not.
Going on.
No.
So when he probably thought to himself, shit, this is a total unnecessary controversy that I can just end right now. Called the guy, basically apologized, walked it back, and is now making it super, super clear everywhere he talks about it that this is a brand new title with its own unique lineage.
Yeah.
So we have put that to bed.
I'm glad they broke bread. I'm glad. Per Tony, it seemed like a good conversation, and like you said, he conceded both of those things.
Well, he was on the wrong side of both of them,
right?
So
yeah, he was.
He was on the wrong side of both of them. And again, when I asked him, he didn't even seem to know that there was a lawsuit, because he was like, "What lawsuit?" Now that could have been semantics, because the trademark challenge isn't technically a lawsuit, but I had someone else tell me that it's entirely possible he may not even have been aware that the trademark was being challenged, because that's kind of like he's so high on the chain of command that might not even have gotten to him. Do you see what I'm saying? Like he might not have even, because it's such an old thing that they like, it's been out of sight, out of mind. And maybe that just never got up the chain to him. He's a busy guy. But apparently he just, they're not even fighting for it anymore. So at least according to what he told Helwani, he just conceded both points to Billy Corgan and put him over. Well, he put everybody over in that interview. I guess we'll get to that when we get to it. And that was that.
So far, all we know, Shelton Bob, Ricochet, Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and then a bunch of other guys. We'll see who all shows up for this national title. AEW TNT title, no disqualification, Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, so, the old territory stipulation where if Briscoe loses, he has to join the heels, right? And, Briscoe obviously was willing to accept that because he's the Valiant's babyface who just wants to get his hands on Kyle Fletcher and win that title. So he asked for the no DQ, right? And then Callis said, exactly. Well, I got to get something out of this. So you would think
that's a good piece of business right there. I like that. The guys ask for stipulations, all like Samoa Joe. If I'm Samoa Joe, I'm like, I'm not doing a steel cage match. What's in it for me? I guess the world title's in it for him. But
Joe wanted the cage match.
Did Joe watch the cage match?
Yeah, because remember Hangman was like, Joe, if you wanted me in a cage, you just should have asked me, dumbass. Remember the big line that everybody popped for?
I guess you're right. Okay, you're right. But regardless, I like the idea of the heel saying, "Well, well, hold on, we got to get some skin in this game too." So I like that. Don thinks about wrestling on a higher level than a lot of people.
Well, you like it because it's just a classic pro wrestling angle, is what it is. And every now and then we do get a glimpse of Mid-South Tony, or JCP Tony, as I dubbed him last week, and I think that's what we have here. So, I can't imagine doing this stipulation without doing a storyline where Mark Briscoe is forced to be.
Oh, of course.
In the Don Callis family. So that'll carry them through a month of TV or whatever until the conglomeration has to figure out a way to free him from the Don Callis family. Or AEW loves to zig when we think they're going to zag. So maybe he's just going to win the title and Kyle Fletcher loses up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I would sort of look forward to the Mark Briscoe joining the Don Callis family thing for, I don't know, that story. I like that. I like that because I think it takes Briscoe away from the goofy guy who makes faces and rants and raves or whatever, makes him a little bit more whatever, a little bit more stoic in the Don Callis family, and he's not happy about it. He's a little angry about it because that opens up a lot of things because maybe then you could do Mark Briscoe as a heel for a little bit, as a guy who starts to say, this isn't so bad. Like, this is actually kind of cool. This guy speaks some truth.
That's
this
true.
Don Callis guy. Like, I think there's some potential in that too. And his buddies in the conglomeration could be all happy-go-lucky and fun and games. And hey, come on, Mark, come on back. And he's like, no. Actually, hold on a minute. This is pretty good.
That's true. We've seen that before where there's angles like this where the babyface then just turns heel.
Yeah.
So that I guess that's possible too. And it would be something new for Mark Briscoe to do. So yeah, I didn't even think of that. I guess that, that's possible.
Yeah, or like you said, Mark just fucking wins the title. Kyle Fletcher moves up, which is possible too. Yeah. AEW World Tag Team titles, we talked about this a little bit. Bandito and Brody King versus FTR, one of the best acts in this company right now. FTR versus Bandito and Brody, and Bandito and Brody just over like fuck as baby faces. FTR just hated heels. Just classic pro wrestling here. The team that will never give up and fights till the very end, and then the just jackass asshole territory heel tag team. So I cannot wait for this match. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I want a Midnight Express Jim Cornette finish, and I want FTR to win the titles that way. That's what I want here. Stoke could even use a loaded tennis racket if he wants. That might that might be a little too on the nose, but I want a Midnight Express-esque finish, grabbing a guy's leg coming off the ropes, foreign object, whatever, ref distraction, punch someone in the dick. I don't care how you get there, but I want FTR to have these titles. I want them to have a long, sustained heel run with these titles using those tactics. And I think that it would give Brodito something else to do. They could be in the position to chase now. I think the timing's right for that. I think that it'd be, this is the perfect timing for a title change, and it doesn't mean you end the program. It means that Brodito wants to get those titles back that were stolen from them because, FTR couldn't beat them fair and square. Just fucking pro wrestling shit, man. And there are very few acts in this company and in wrestling today that understand simple, basic, good pro wrestling shit as well as FTR does. And I think that this is kind of, we've talked about, they've been in this company for years and years now, and they've been good, they've been bad, they've been off-putting, they've been annoying, they've been great. They've been all over the board at different times during their run in AEW. But I think that this is finally FTR being what we've wanted FTR to be. Like, they've gone all the way finally with it.
This is what they came in and wanted to be, and they just never felt like they ever were.
Never really fully got there. Right. They had some babyface runs where they were the babyface version of this kind of team. You know what I mean? But it's like, this suits them. I mean, Dax is so good as the condescending heel, and he was so good with Bandito's grandma a few weeks ago, and Stoke. And, for Stoke too, he's finally found a role that's meaningful that he can sink his teeth into in AEW. Jade Cargill was a poor fit. The stuff with Willow and Stat was okay, but a little awkward. Then he had the big opportunity when MJF formed that big stable that Stoke was supposed to be the manager of. But then that all fell apart because of stuff outside of everybody's control, right? And it's like, and then he just disappeared to ROH, and they couldn't figure out what to do with him. But like, this is even Stoke finally hitting his stride in this company after 5 years of just meandering around and not really, being a perfect fit with anything he's doing. So to me, this entire act, I want to include Stokely in this. It's just clicking on all cylinders. It's such a dichotomy to all the other goofy bullshit that AEW is doing lately that we've talked about earlier. And, it's something on the show that I can sink my teeth into, more importantly, because this is all about me. Right. So put the titles on these guys, and and switch the roles here. Have Brodito chase them for a little while.
Yeah, the simplicity of this is what really works for me. And the reason why I'm looking forward to this, I mean, you have all these other stories with all these little twists and turns or whatever. This one's so simple and so basic. I mean, Bandito and Brody King can't be bigger baby faces. They're never say die. We work together to win. And I mean, you put even more of it with Bandito and his I mean, this is just classic babyface pro wrestling shit. Look, here's my grandma. Here's this sweet old woman. Here I am, and I help Brody, and Brody helps me. And it's just like, that's classic. Really, they're not this team, but it's a classic blowjob tag team, vibe about them. They're not, obviously, because look, I mean, they're
right. That's
Brody King's Brody King, but
that's not the idea. And the other guy wears a mask,
right,
so it's
right.
like that's not the idea.
But you know what I mean? Like the way that they're telling the story of like their never say die attitude. Like the fans, how do you not root for these guys? How do you not look at it? Oh, he's got a grandmother and she's so sweet and she's so nice and oh my god, and Brody, he's a good guy. And it's like, what I mean? It's a classic, like they work as a babyface tag team in wrestling, but then you also kind of try to break down those barriers a little bit and let the fans think that they know these human beings. And largely people do know what Brody stands for and what he cares about. And now you know what Bandito stands for, what he cares about, and his grandmother and his family and stuff. So they broke down those walls of making them a just a perfect babyface tag team. And then you have these guys, FTR, and like you said, all dynamics of this team just feel like they're exactly where they need to be right now. And yeah, Stoke hasn't found his footing yet in AEW. He finally has. FTR hadn't found their footing, and they finally have. It's perfect. And they're just so fucking good as heels, and everybody hates them. And it's not even like we're smiling while we hate them thing. They just hate these people.
No, they hate them.
Yeah. And they're going to try to, they're going to try to punch a kid, and people are going to get mad, and Stokely's going to try to challenge somebody to a fight as they come down to the ring, and it's going to rock. I mean, this is it, man. If you want to know what the fuck I want in pro wrestling, it's a babyface versus a heel going for the fucking title. And this is it. This is it right here, and it's so simple and basic, and it always works, and it's worked for 100 years, and it'll work for 100 more years.
Yeah, someone in the chat says the hardcore elite fans don't like FTR for whatever reason, which will make the win feel even better. Well, I mean, the reason is your friend Phil, whatever happened there. I think that explains why the hardcore elite fans do not like FTR. It has nothing to do with their performance. Now they'll pretend that it's their performance, and they'll try to tell you that they don't like them but the reason they don't like FTR is because they're friendly with CM Punk.
They were part of the Punk
that's really
camp, the infamous Punk camp.
FTR could have 1,000 5-star matches on Dynamite and Collision every week until the end of time, and they're not going to like them because they're aligned with CM Punk. I mean, the emotion gets in the way, and that's fine. Fans are fans. They like who they want. They like who they like, and they dislike who they dislike for whatever reason they want. But I mean, that's very obviously the reason. I have not been thrilled with FTR bald over the course of many, but I don't care about that stuff when it comes to just judging the performance of what these wrestlers do in the ring. I have to assess it by, is it good or is it bad? Does it work? Doesn't work? And, I have to tell people those things, and I personally am capable of enjoying wrestlers that I don't think that I would get along with personally. I don't care. They're performers to me. So I know we all have our own lines, and the Punk stuff is just so, there's just some people are just so militant when it comes to that topic. So that explains that. I don't think it has anything to do. How could it be about their performance? They're incredible. I mean, what is there to complain about from a performance standpoint? So anyway, yeah, I think that they should win the titles here, and I think that the program should continue. That doesn't mean that Brodito goes away. It just means that now they're chasing.
Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné. Now, this is a story that they want to be a clean babyface heel thing, but I don't know. This story is not. I don't love what we're doing here with Statlander and Mercedes. And this always happens with Statlander. You push Statlander, and we talked about it a couple months ago. Like, you got to try with her. You got to try one of these times, but I feel like every time she gets in these spots, I'm just like, I don't know. Where are you at with Statlander right now? I don't know. I just don't know if she can go as your top woman and your champion.
I agree. I like the attempt. I think it's a valid attempt. I think it's an attempt that they should make. I don't think that she'll ever get there. And when I say get there, meaning a difference-making top star in the company. They're not doing her any favors, putting her on commentary. It's always awful. That's just not who she is or what she does well, and I think that pro wrestling is exemplifying strengths, hiding weaknesses. And I don't know how you can put Chris Statlander on commentary during these Mercedes matches and then put her back the next week and let her bomb again. I mean, what are we doing? I'm going to tell you what we're doing. It's because that's what wrestling is now, and that's what you do. Okay. We've been putting wrestlers at the commentary table while their enemy is wrestling for 20 years, and we're just going to keep doing it because that's what you do. But at some point, you have to say to yourself, this person isn't comfortable on a live microphone during commentary of a wrestling match, and it's hurting them. And you have to no longer do that with them. What you have to do with Chris Statlander is something different, even if that means showing her standing in the back, watching a monitor at an odd angle. Since we can't stop doing that either, that would be better for her because she doesn't have to talk. She can't talk. Now, look, she talks just fine in those pre-tape interviews with Atut and Renee. She talks fine. But when you get her at that commentary table, it's a fucking disaster. You have to stop doing that to her. She's clearly nervous and can't handle it. So anyway, outside of that, I don't know. To me, there's just something missing there in terms of being a top star in the company. But I do think you have to try with people.
You do. Yeah.
Okay. You can't not try. So that's why I think she should win the match. I don't think it matters if Mercedes loses. It doesn't matter at all. In fact, it's a better story if Mercedes loses because this can be the one title that eludes her and it can drive her crazy. She can have 100 other titles but she cannot have happiness because she can't have that title. And this will be her second crack at it. And you could start telling that story. And you could have her keep collecting belts. She can win every other belt in the company, but she's not going to be happy because she can't win the big one and she can't beat Statlander. That's a good story, right? Rather than just adding this belt to her collection right now.
That's the worst story to tell. That's the worst story to tell.
It cuts off Statlander, and Mercedes doesn't need it.
You're right. The best story is she comes in with all this bravado and these 15 different titles and all the boys carrying her titles or whatever, but can't win this one. Can never win this. Yeah, that's the story. That's the heat right there. And eventually when she does win it, it's going to matter more. But if you do it here on Full Gear, just kind of throwing in, not the right time. And certainly not the right place for it. And yeah, it's just the heel babyface dynamics of this feud have been really weird too, because you have like Mercedes Moné, the fighting champion, who's got to earn her spot, and then Chris Statlander, the babyface, is like on commentary talking shit about the valiant heel that's fighting in the ring. You know what I mean? It's like it's all kind of goofy and switched up. And yeah,
look, for my personal entertainment, I rather have this title on Mercedes. And again, I just talked about this with FTR. I have to approach things from both. What do I think is the right booking move? What do I think would be more entertaining? But if I'm the booker, if I've got the proverbial pencil, this is way too soon to cut Statlander off.
Agreed. Yeah.
Give her a substantial reign, and let's see if there can be something here. Let's see if she can connect with fans and be someone who you can start trusting to headline a Dynamite, right? And who you can start trusting to put at the top of an hour on a TV show, because she's going to hold a rating or maybe even pop a rating. Do I personally think she'll ever be that person? I don't. But that doesn't mean I don't think they should try.
Yeah. And then we'll go to the main event here, AEW World Title Steel Cage match, Adam Page versus Samoa Joe. And I thought you pointed out perfectly on the Dynamite review, and I had the exact same thoughts in my note. It just feels like this feud's on life support, man. It was like, it was great. Yeah. Oh, it was one of the best. I loved the beginning of this feud. I loved how simple.
First pay-per-view cycle.
First pay-per-view cycle was great, and it started so simple, and a lot of people got upset about it. What do you mean they're booked a title match after one? They just got mad at each other, and now they're having a match? Yeah, that's fine. That's all I need. I don't need, I don't need people getting run over by cars and all this sort of shit. No, just you're a prick, and I don't like you, and I want to face you to beat you for this title. That's enough. And Adam Page said, all right, motherfucker, let's go. And that's it. That's all this match needed. It was great, that first cycle. Then we're doing it again. And we do a heel turn with Samoa Joe. And we do the ops, beating up Hangman Page and him having to work through them. We do the Tony Schiavone thing. It's just, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. And we went to...
It just cooled off.
Right. And then guess what, Joe? You're not going to believe it. What we did this week on Dynamite, we had Samoa Joe do commentary during a Hangman Page match. Can you believe it? Unbelievable. Where do they get these stories? Where do they get
so many fresh ideas from the Challenger brand.
It's crazy. Yeah. So you have the competitors. One of the competitors at the pay-per-view coming up this weekend does commentary on his opponent's match. It's unbelievable how they come up with these things. But, it's on life support. And Samoa Joe was great for the one pay-per-view, but we really should have just said, okay, that was great as a one pay-per-view thing, a Challenger of the Month type thing, a Monster of the Month, whatever you want to call them, and let's move on to somebody else next time. Now, who that somebody else is, that's kind of a big problem with AEW right now, but I would have just said anybody. I would have said, you brought up Powerhouse Hobbs. That's a guy I brought up as well. I think that would have been, if we had the match that they had at Blood and Guts on that pay-per-view, I don't think anybody would be upset about that. That exact match.
Yeah, a longer version of that. Like, the Joe was a 1 month challenger because nobody even bought him last month. So nobody's buying him this month as a viable potential winner. So as you just noted, what I talked about today was maybe when you do the turn, right, you set up Hobbs for the next month and have him beat, because that's something fresh. Now, I don't think anybody would think that Will Hobbs is going to beat Hangman Page for the title, but it'd be his first high-profile pay-per-view main event world title match, right? It's an attempt to get the fans to see him at a different level, and I think that would have been a better direction to go to other than going right back to Joe, because at least it's something different and fresh, and who knows, Hobbs could catch fire. And maybe, people will see Hobbs at a new level moving forward. The Joe thing 2 months in a row was just too much. It was just too much for that specific challenger. And, but the problem is they don't have, it's thin right now.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of challengers set up, and they were just trusting this feud to carry them through 2 pay-per-views, and it's going to be interesting where they go. Does MJF come back? You could always go back to that when MJF returns for Hangman. Maybe someone else rises on this show and gets elevated. I don't know. But the problem is they had to go to Joe 2 months in a row because there's nothing else. It's thin. This is not a deep roster right now, which, when they have to have 3-hour dynamites, it shines through.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking chore to watch these 3-hour dynamites.
It's just
there's not enough there.
And there's a lot of people that don't have much of consequence. And that's a booking issue too. And that you have to get people ready. You have to have that next wave up. And I think that's one of the failures of AEW recently, is that they just haven't had that next guy up, or they've been really apprehensive to bring that next guy up. And instead, everyone just kind of is on this hamster wheel, this never-ending wheel. And it's like, once you get slotted in that spot that you're in, you really don't move up. And that's why I think they were really nervous to move Hobbs up to a pay-per-view level. That's why, someone in the chat room just said Pac. Why not Pac? And Pac's a great choice of somebody you can have do a challenger of the month type of thing or whatever. But they have slotted Pac at a certain level right now, and they're not going to do that.
That's
anymore.
right. And because of that, they're afraid to put somebody like Pac or Will Hobbs in a pay-per-view main event because they think that people might not buy the show but you have to eventually move people up. You got to try.
Well, and you got to make those people matter. I mean, the booking is make those fucking people matter. Make Powerhouse Hobbs matter. Make him do whatever you got to do in 3 weeks to build him. Yeah, you can't just say, well, he's not at that level. Get him at that fucking level. That's it. That's the game. That's the essence. That's promoting. That's booking.
How about, like I said, they do the turn and Hobbs is the next challenger and he has the Falls Count Anywhere with Page at Blood and Guts and he beats him. How about that? How about Powerhouse Hobbs pins Hangman Page on Dynamite in that non-title match? Why can't you do that?
There you go. Yeah, you could.
Why can't you show some guts? Why can't you show some guts? And he puts Hangman through the fucking table and with the goofy fake explosion and he pins him. Show some guts and elevate somebody.
Right. And then have that match where Hangman's got to, go to that match and say, look, the last time I got in the ring with this guy, he beat me, battered me, broke my ribs, and I'm, he got this title shot because he beat my ass, and now I got to defend it. And that,
or because Shibata helped him, but now we're in a cage, and Shibata can't help him.
Yeah,
you really got to get me in the room is what we need to do here, because I can apply the kind of logic needed to get this shit over.
Oh, come on. We got Glacier. You're going to do better than Glacier and Scotty Too Hotty. Get the fuck out of here. And Pat Buck. Yeah, no.
You do the same no holds barred Falls Count Anywhere, but that's the out for the fucking ops to double or triple team the guy. Hobbs pins him with a little bit of help from Shibata. And then your logic for the cage match is now Hobbs is on his own. And Hangman is going to prove that when it's one-on-one with no help, that he's the better man than Powerhouse Hobbs. And then he beats him. And then maybe now people see Hobbs at another level because he main evented a pay-per-view. And I have to say, I don't think Full Gear does one less buy with Will Hobbs or Samoa Joe in that cage. I don't think it makes a difference. Do you? I don't think it makes a difference.
I don't think so.
So it's like, but you run Joe back, and then it ran out of steam.
Right. Or the other thing too is Joe can give the rub to Hobbs too. Joe is an established guy, but he could say, "This is my protege. I've been teaching this guy how to kill and how to murder and how to maim. And look what he did to you, Hangman Page, in that no holds barred match. He put you through a table. Your ribs are broken. And you can use the heat of Joe and the power of Joe and the star power of Joe or whatever to say, this is my next guy. Look at this motherfucker. You think I'm bad? You think I'm trouble? Look at this fucker. Look how big this guy is."
Exactly. You have Joe right there to do the talking for him. I mean, it's perfect.
You got to give us $1 billion. Can someone give us $1 billion so we can run a wrestling show? No, your money. I'm not betting my money. But can you give? No, I want someone to give me. If someone gives us $1 billion, look. If somebody, no, we didn't get the World Tag League. By the way, we did not reach the threshold for the World Tag League, unfortunately. So I will not be doing that. But here's another challenge to somebody out there. Give us $1 billion, or you just start a company with $1 billion and then hire us. And then when we don't want to work anymore, we just quit or whatever. And then it's for you to figure out on your own. But I think we got to get in this room.
I don't think I want to be in the room.
Yeah, I don't either.
Honest.
Yeah, I don't want either.
I don't think I want to be in the room. I think
having to have your thoughts challenged by Glacier, Ray Lloyd is like, I don't know. How about Samoa Joe sits at the commentary table and talk shit? Peppermint, you don't want to get in the room with Peppermint, and she goes, well, What if we do a championship celebration instead? You're like, all right, fine, sure.
Yeah, how many times can I say, no, that fucking stinks before they fire me?
That's WWE
you can't put me in
bullshit.
that room.
As you throw the chair, that's WWE bullshit. Why are we doing that?
Yeah. I throw the chair like Bob Knight playing Purdue.
Right.
Fucking, you know.
You grab the whiteboard,
you know,
you break it on your, you're like, Joe, we can't break another whiteboard. You're like, no, it's fucking shit. It's shit.
I'm pointing at
Challenger
the sign.
brand. Challenger brand. I thought we were doing something here.
Because I would behave that way, and it wouldn't last a month.
No.
I don't give a shit about these people or what they think of me.
I was going to say you're going to be another headache for Mega, but she's not there anymore. The old legal representative.
No, she's not there.
No,
we're talking time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you know. So we're running back Joe, and yeah, it definitely ran out of steam.
No, it's just there's nothing going on. So I'm sure the match will be good. It's Samoa Joe and Hangman Page in a cage.
Listen,
I'm sure it'll be good.
I'm sure this whole show is going to be good. You know, I don't have any doubts this is going to be a good show. Looks like a really good show on paper. Looks like a really good show on paper. And it's an AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm hoping 4 hours. You know, it's four and a half. Can't go 5, right? No 5.
4 would be nice. 4.
I'd give him 4.5.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's
4.5.
5's. Let's keep away from
5's
5.
pushing it. 5's pushing it. Pushing it a little. Instant reaction live.
Yeah. Speaking of, whenever those 4.5 or 5 hours are done, we'll be going live. $10 tier, flagship, patreon.com/voices of wrestling. I'll have links in the on the website as well, voicesofwrestling.com, if you want to follow along immediately after the show. AEW Full Gear, the best, most detailed, thorough, and passionate post-pay-per-view review show in the game. Guaranteed instant reaction live. We're not just going to go through the matches and give you a couple of moves and say, yeah, that was good, and then move on. No. We go 2.5 hours, 2 hours plus every single time. Extensive thoughts about the matches. Big picture thoughts about the booking. We go deep. You know, a lot of people just kind of, they get through the whole thing in like 40 minutes or whatever. No. And it's us, so it's going to be a bunch of random shit that you don't expect either, because that's what we do when we do these instant reaction shows. We're not buttoned up even on those shows either, so you'll get some tangents or whatever. But yeah, we're the best in the game at the post pay-per-view review show, so make sure you listen in. $10 tier, flagship, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, or like I said, go to voicesofwrestling.com and you'll have a link there for you as well. But yeah, immediately following the show, whenever that may be, we'll go live with instant reaction live for AEW Full Gear 2025. So, all right, real quick, then we'll get to Tony Khan on Ariel Helwani show. Continental Classic is starting next week. We knew that was probably going to be the case, given that it usually kicks off on the Thursday or the Wednesday Thanksgiving Eve Dynamite. Rollout is, as usual, pretty terrible. We just kind of had a lower third graphic during a match that said, hey, the Continental Classic starting next week. No list of participants and blocks. Tony on the media call today said that early next week we'll get the blocks and the participants. So he thinks he wants to wait until after Full Gear and see who's hurt to see who can participate in this thing. But every year it just feels like, can we just try to make this a big deal? Can we try to hype this thing up a little bit? But it's never going to happen, so whatever.
I just think it comes together super late every time.
Yeah.
I don't think as of right this second they have any clue. Well, I shouldn't say any clue.
They probably have a rough timeline or rough layout. Yeah.
They know the winner. They know who they're beating in the final, and they have a rough framework of who's in each block. But they got to work out, you know, who can make all the dates, who can make all the towns, who do we want beating who. I just don't think they have it finalized.
No, they never.
Anything
do.
else, I think, is and that's the problem. Yeah, this should be laid out certainly in full by this point. I mean, you just get in a room with two people you trust to put this thing together, and you bang it out in 4 or 5 hours. I mean, what are we doing here? What are you paying people for?
27 people in the room, and nobody can figure out how to book a fucking tournament. So,
I mean, look, maybe we're wrong. Maybe the whole thing is laid out, and we're being assholes about it. But every year it's the same thing with this. So I get the sense that it's not organized yet, and I really don't understand what's so difficult about it. You get in a room and you hammer it out in 4 hours, and at that point, if someone gets hurt or something, you fucking deal. New Japan deals with it every year. They deal with it every year, and it's fine.
Right.
You cross that bridge when you get to it.
It's just, I just want this thing to be a bigger deal than it is, and I guess I want it to be a bigger deal than I guess they do, I suppose, because I just think this is just a marketing you have so much you can do with this. And look at the template that New Japan. I mean, New Japan runs their spring through the idea that, we're soon going to learn about who's going to be in the blocks or whatever. And in the early summer, we know the blocks, and it's building all up. And that stuff's cool. Like that sort of stuff is really cool. And you can promote this and get people ready and let people know and let people do pick'ems and let people do previews and let people think about, oh man, in a couple of weeks, that guy's going to be participating in the Continental Classic. And this entire AEW Full Gear show, you could be saying, oh, well, he better not work too hard because, if he gets, beaten, like Pac and Darby, it's, Darby's going to be in the Continental Classic. So this match with Pac is, if he comes out, not the worst for wear, like it's, it helps him, gets him ready for the Continental, like whatever, there's ways that you can do this to just get it ready and build it up a little bit more, but they just don't seem to care. And it's like, I think I care more than they do about getting this thing and making this thing a big deal. But Tony just kind of puts it all together. And some years we find out the day of who's in the thing. Some years we find out Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday night who's in it, and whatever. Fine. It's fine.
Well, and the thing is, they've got their buddies in New Japan right there to bounce ideas off of and help construct something like this. And New Japan's is deeper and more complicated than the one that they do. So it's like you even have those resources. You can go through Rocky and get Gato on the phone. Whoever puts it together, I don't know who puts it together for New Japan, but you even have them to help you. And come up with ideas of how to make it dramatic and different scenarios, because they do it every year, 4 times a year. You get the G1, the World Tag League, the junior, Best of Super Juniors, and now they even do it with the junior tag teams. It used to be a knockout tournament. Remember when that used to be a knockout? Well, they fluctuate, but so I mean, they got a ton of experience putting these kind of things together. And, you've got Rocky Romero working for you, who's been part of New Japan for years and years and has been, and has been participated in a million. I mean, I just don't, I don't get it.
Anyway, let's talk about Tony on Ariel Helwani's show. So I watched this live. That's where my life's at right now. I watched this thing live. Wow. Big picture thoughts before we get into the actual, I have a bunch of notes here about what happened. You were more tuned into the MMA world when Ariel Helwani was working his way up the ladder and becoming the preeminent interviewer in combat sports. Why is he the preeminent interviewer in combat sports? I never think he's any good.
You didn't like this, huh?
I never do. Anytime I watch his interviews, I'm like, how did this guy become like the guy? I don't get it.
Because he was the only guy?
Okay.
How many other MMA interviewers do you know of?
I guess that I bring up a very good point. Yeah.
Okay, look, I thought that Helwani's performance, I'm going to disagree with you. I thought he was good. I thought he asked a lot of okay, let me put it this way. I think Helwani crammed in a lot of the right questions. Where his weakness is he never follows up.
Exactly. It's not a conversation.
It's not a conversation. And especially with Tony Khan, who's going to dodge all these questions like you're firing bullets at him, you have to have follow-ups. I can give you one excellent example when they were talking about the NWA Shockwave thing, right? Naturally, I'm sitting there as someone who does something similar to Helwani, and I'm thinking to myself, as Tony's talking about handing over the name of Shockwave and everything, I'm like, the next question has to be, so Tony, what were the plans for the Shockwave name? And what became of those Fox rumors? Was there anything to that? Never asked him.
Right.
Because he doesn't do a follow-up. He asked Tony about his business. He said, how do you think business is right now? Ratings and attendance. Obviously alluding to the fact that both of those things aren't so hot right now, right? So Tony gives his answer. And he gives a pretty good answer regarding the television ratings, I thought Tony defended television ratings very well. But Tony didn't say anything about the attendance, and for good reason, right?
Right.
He didn't want to. So as an interviewer, what Helwani has to do when Tony's done talking about the ratings is he has to say, all right, Tony, but what about the attendance?
Yeah, well, how's your attendance doing? You don't even have to ask a leading question. You could, you don't have to say, well, your attendance isn't any good or whatever, or what's going on with that. You can just say, well, yeah, you talk about your streamer. How's your attendance doing? How's attendance going for you guys?
Yeah,
and let Tony hang himself if he wants to.
Or God forbid, have some facts at your disposal.
Right.
Well, Tony, you averaged X amount of ticket buyers for Dynamites last year. You're down to this number this year, or whatever. He let him off the hook, and didn't force Tony to answer for his declining attendance. And we might have gotten something good out of Tony, but now we're never going to know because he didn't follow up. Maybe Tony would have had a pretty good answer for the attendance like he had for the ratings. I thought he had a good answer for the ratings. He made some pretty good points that I hadn't considered when it came to the ratings. Now it was now look, it was good timing for Tony because he was coming off doing 600,000 on a 0.15.
Had his best number with the new system for sure.
But the facts are the facts. And I thought he explained himself well in that, but those are two pretty easy examples of where Helwani, he knows what topics to broach, but then he just lets the person talk and he moves immediately to the next topic. And he's not sitting there. When we would interview people and when I have guests, while they're talking, I'm thinking, ooh, they just gave me something I could follow up with. Or, oh, wow, that's something I didn't think about. I'm going to ask them to expand on that. Helwani doesn't do that. I'm going to ask about your business, and then he already knows in his brain it's time to ask about Killer Cross, which, by the way, nobody cares. Complete waste of 5 minutes talking about Killer Cross.
Yeah, he did follow up on Killer Cross. He didn't follow up on like anything else, but he continued to ask leading questions about Killer Cross, and I was like, okay,
fascinated with Killer Cross.
And this is the one you want to dig into. Okay.
It just goes to show where his WWE brain is because nobody gives a fuck about Killer Cross, dude. Why are you asking him about Killer Cross?
It was a layup, or what did he say? It was a slam dunk. It was a slam dunk for you guys. That was Tony Khan. I got to say, if you got to watch the interview too, Tony Khan's masterful dodging of that question about Ariel Helwani, who says, so what was the deal with Killer Cross? I thought he was a slam dunk for you guys, and you didn't bring him in? And Tony's just like, oh, God, what do I say here? And he's just like, I haven't spoken to him. I haven't talked to him in a while.
I met him one time, and he's a nice guy, but I haven't really talked to him. And then he tried to, shift it to Darby. He did a match with Darby, and I heard it was really good, and I got good reports.
And Darby said it was great to work with. And, I haven't talked to him, but I haven't talked to him. Just to let you know, I haven't talked to him. We haven't talked to him. And then Helwani's like...
Yeah. So Helwani won't follow up on anything, but he wouldn't let Killer Cross go.
No.
Oh, but you have to admit, he was really hot at the end there. And I'm waiting for Tony to go, no, he wasn't hot. But Tony's not going to do that. Tony's not gonna say that, but it's like he wouldn't let the Killer Cross thing go. This cat with the toy, I gotta get this toy.
I kind of heard it. That's all right. You're good.
I feel bad for the cat because she lost this toy under the couch, and she finally dug it out.
Oh, but worked hard for it. Yeah, it's all right. You know what?
She worked hard for it.
Is it bothering you? It's not bothering me. It's not bothering me.
It's killing me. I can't concentrate.
It's bothering you. Then all
right. That's this little bell. I feel bad though taking it from. Oh my God, she's looking at me. All right, here, go in the kitchen with it. Go. All right. Yeah. So anyway, I thought Helwani did a good job with the topics he broached, and I think he did a poor job with follow-ups. That's my big picture assessment of it.
Yeah, it's kind of where I got to there. I mean, he got, like you said, he packed in a lot in an interview, but it was there was a lot of questions that Khan gave me. There was little nuggets, little things that I was like, okay, that's good. Put a pin in that. And he would just move on to the next thing. And I was like, all right, we're fine. We're just going to
move right on.
So yeah, but he came with very little information. He was clear he had a list of questions, but he didn't have much information in terms of being able to have an actual conversation with Tony about what was going on. So.
And I think Tony, it's very obvious that Tony feels bad about the last time he was on. Now, Tony had a legitimate gripe. Because at that time, Helwani was talking a lot of shit about him and his company, and it was very, and more importantly, I thought Tony's heat was legit because Helwani at that time, and Helwani even brought this up in this interview where he's like, "People think I'm a paid shill." Well, you literally were.
You quite literally were. So that's why people think that. Yeah,
and that's why people think that when you're glazing WWE, that you're shilling for that, and that's why Tony was put off last time and treated you the way he did. But I think that Tony probably felt bad about that and has probably been sitting on that for 2-3 years or however long it's been. And he really made an effort to be thorough in his answers, even if, in my opinion, he didn't say much of anything in this interview. He talked a lot, but said very little. But he gave Helwani what Helwani wanted, which was lengthy answers that I guess by Ariel Helwani standards would be considered good, deep, but by the standards of a show like this, we'd be like, oh man, Tony gave us nothing. Do you know what I mean when I
right,
say
like,
that?
Case would be disappointed by this interview. If
Right.
Tony came on to Q101 and Case had this exact same interview with him, Case would think the interview sucked.
Right. Because it was very surface level stuff. But Helwani's audience are MMA fans who dabble in pro wrestling and probably only watch fucking SmackDown or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like they probably learned some things here. There were only a couple little bits, and I guess we can talk about them as they go through, where I was like, oh, well, that's different. That's interesting. That's new. Maybe only, 2 or 3 things, maybe tops.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, here, let me go through my notes, and if you have anything else, feel free to jump in.
Yeah.
So, initial thing right off the gate, they talked about, I'm sorry about how happened last time. I think we'd actually get along if we talked or whatever. So, whatever. So they did all that at the beginning. Tony walked in and said, "I love your interviews. They're lit so well." And Helwani's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The lighting. Everybody looks so good when they do these interviews." And it's like, all right, it's just where Tony's brain goes. He's like talking about the lighting of the interviews. Okay. All right. So Helwani asked about AEW and WBD, which I thought was a very good question. So he started off pretty well here and asked if Tony was worried because WBD is for sale. Tony says they have a great relationship with WBD and the ongoing DC partnership, and that AEW is figured into WBD's plans, which, again, a good follow-up would be you're figured into their plans right now, but if they're owned by, X, Y, or Z or whatever, are you still comfortable it should be figured into their plans? And he didn't do that. He just moved on. So,
yeah, he followed it up with the Saudi Arabia thing.
Right, which I thought was funny. So he says, do you realize you're the only major combat sports organization that doesn't have ties to Saudi Arabia? And Tony was like, I never thought of that. Then,
Tony Khan has absolutely thought of that.
Yes, he has. Oh, I didn't think of that. That I'm not bankrolled by a $1 trillion. No. Oh, interesting. yeah, Tony's, I never thought of that. Was really good, too. It's like, okay.
He said, that must be he said, God, that's a coincidence. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, you did. You
think about it every day of your life. You think about that.
He just doesn't want to go down that road, and understandably.
Understandably so, for sure. Helwani asked about the pundits who like to get onto Tony Khan, sometimes unfairly. And Khan had a good answer here. He said, you know what? Our programming gives those people a platform to talk, and the fact that they keep talking about it means it must do good numbers for them. So I thought that was a nice little a little takedown in a sense of, I'm giving these people jobs. I'm giving these people something to talk about because without me, what the hell would they even talk about? So and then he praised Bischoff for his run in WCW, but he did note that even as a kid, I noticed things were going bad for Bischoff, which I thought was a really cool line. He's like, I was like 12 or 13, and I was like, WCW is not very good anymore. It's kind of what he, in no uncertain terms, said. But he was too nice to Bischoff.
He was way too nice to everyone. He framed it as 95 to 98. He was very explicit in saying that he was great from 95 to 98. And some things outside of that were okay. And basically, and Helwani really opened the door for Tony to lay into Bischoff because he kept asking him, do you think these pundits treat you unfairly? Do you think they go too hard on you? But Tony wouldn't take the bait, and he would not attack Eric back. He just wouldn't do it. And that became a theme throughout the interview because he had nothing but complimentary things to say about CM Punk, Cody, which he really didn't even, he tried to avoid that. He was tap dancing around those landmines. I don't even think he said Cody's name. He at least said Punk's name. Eric Bischoff, whoever came up, he refused to say anything resembling a disparaging word. Even Miro. Even when Miro came up, we just see things different, and that's okay.
Right, he was excited to go back. Man. He was excited to go back.
He must have had a good experience there because he was excited to go back, which, look, come on, man. The guy refused to do business, and you sent him home for like 2 years. Okay, that's more than just we disagreed on something. But he wasn't going to do that. He wasn't going to go down these roads. He wasn't going to do it.
Tony said, I think a surprise to some people, that he still talks to UFC's Dana White all the time. They recently hung out at a Jaguars game just a few weeks ago. So I think some
Tony Baselli.
Yeah, Tony Baselli. Yeah,
and
that was
Dan
great.
Lambert.
Did you? Can you imagine being in that room with Dan Lambert, Tony Baselli, Tony Khan, and Dana White at a skybox at a Jaguars game? Man,
sounds like a good time.
It does sound like a pretty good time. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
That's those are 4 eclectic personalities. I'll leave it at that. And they weren't at it. I think it was the Miami Hurricanes game.
Oh, that's right. It was Hurricanes. You're right.
Miami Hurricanes. The Dan Lambert connect. Yes.
When asked about WWE's counter programming, Tony Khan said that he expected it because that's what they always do, but it never cost us anything and has always worked out for us. So essentially saying they do it, but every time they do it, we our buys are good and our business is good, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he no-sold it.
Yeah.
Which you expect him to do. He no-sold it. He goes, look, I know that's what they're doing. It's obvious that's what they're doing. We don't care. We still do well.
And Helwani tried to sort of follow up on this a little bit. He's like, well, you don't think they do it on purpose or whatever? And Khan's like, well, this is, it never costs. He'd stop short of saying they do it to hurt us and more just that's what they kind of do. That's what their company always does. So I'm not too surprised about it. So then we got to CM Punk, which of course we're going to get to CM Punk. Yeah, go ahead.
Because, he's smart enough now to not say, oh, well, that's what they do. They're trying to put me out of business because what will all the clickbait? He is so cognizant of clickbait headlines now because every headline from all these bullshit garbage wrestling sites the next day would be Tony Khan says WWE's trying to put him out of business. And it would be, the narrative would be that he's whining about WWE's business.
Phil
practices.
son ran out of money or what? Sob emoji, sob emoji, sob emoji, more of daddy's money maybe, the bullshit like that.
So he has to be so careful and measured the way he answers these questions. Yeah. And he knew he was going to get all these questions, and he knew he was trying to mend fences with Helwani. So I'm sure that the night before, when his head was on the pillow, he was thinking about the most diplomatic and safest way to answer these questions in terms of giving the aggregators the least amount of bait as possible.
For sure. The Punk came up, of course. Khan said
the Punk. I like that.
Yeah.
The Punk. Yeah.
Khan said he enjoyed his time with Phil. And he called him Phil a lot, more so than CM Punk, which is funny. We always talked about that. They had a very good relationship. And by the way, if CM Punk called Tony tomorrow and said, can I come back to AEW, Tony would.
I think he would want to.
I think he would want to. I'm not saying he would. I think he would want to, and he would ask a few people, hey, what do you think?
Can we make this work?
Yeah.
Because I think he very badly would want to.
He wouldn't
Punk
unilaterally
back.
Just do it, but he would say,
no.
1 second, let me get back to you.
It's way too soon because it would once again fracture the locker room because there's too many of the same people there. So ultimately, I don't think he would do it. Or at least I don't think he would do it without the blessing of about a half dozen.
He would need a yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
He's not getting that blessing from those half dozen people. Okay. Your Young Bucks, your Christopher Daniels, your Hangman Page, you go right down the line.
Jack Perry.
So Jack Perry. Yeah. The list of enemies is deep.
It could go long. Okay? It could be here all day.
And all of their assorted allies.
Yeah.
I am 100% convinced that if you had a private conversation with Tony Khan, he would tell you that he would love to bring back CM Punk. But I think that he's also smart enough to know that he can't.
You're right.
And he would not be able to at this point in time. And by the time that he'd be able to, the guy's going to be 60 years old. So we're done here.
Yeah.
I think we're done here because by the time it would even be a possibility, enough roster turnover or anything else, the guy's right on the brink of being useless now. He could barely get through a match. So he's going to be 50 very soon, CM Punk. So I don't think we even have to worry about it.
No, I don't think so.
Even
either.
if Mount Phil explodes. And I don't think Mount Phil's going to explode. I think Mount Phil is eyeing up a lifetime job over there. And I think he's playing the game, literally and figuratively. He's playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's setting himself up for a 8-figure job moving into the next 2 decades of his life before he decides to pack it in and just go enjoy his money.
So he said that he enjoyed his time with Phil in AEW, and he believes that everybody involved in what went down is in a better place right now. Ariel Helwani then asked about the interview that he did with Punk that very clearly caused Tony to decide to air the footage on the TV. And I will give Helwani a little bit of credit here. He said, so it wasn't our interview that made you want to air that footage. And Tony said, no. I thought it'd be a good idea and it would do good ratings or whatever. I mean, it was clearly very obvious that he because of Punk's interview with Helwani that he aired the footage.
Well, Tony even let that slip. He said, one thing I didn't like is how that story was told.
Yes.
Meaning by Punk on the interview. Yeah.
So he did let that slide a little bit, but then said that, I disagree with Punk's comments about my management style. And, a big reason that I aired that footage is because I thought that he didn't properly portray the events that led to his firing.
That's it. Yes, that's it.
He said, he talked about it, but I don't think he properly portrayed the events, I believe was his exact quote. And then just said, it did well in the ratings. Because, of course, it's Tony that said, it's a good business. Did well in the ratings. So
he said, hey, look, it's a TV show. And we advertised it ahead of time, and it did well in the ratings. And, so, I mean, look, he was, again, very careful to not give Punk anything to work with in terms of sniping back, right? I think he handled discussing Punk again in the safest, least in the least in a way that would make it the hardest to aggregate. And honestly, this interview was several days ago, and no one has really been able to aggregate
There's
much.
really been much. Yeah, all the people have done have basically said, here are the recap of Tony Khan's interview with Helwani. Right. It's not Tony Khan.
There's no salacious headlines.
Quotes, CM Punk did blank or whatever. No, it's none of that.
It's crazy. So from that standpoint, this was a very successful interview for Tony because he didn't give anybody clickbait headlines to work with. He mended a fence with Ariel Helwani, which was something that was obviously important to him. And by the way, he's a better person than me. I never would have done business with Ariel Helwani.
No, a guy that called me a cokehead and fucking snowman and stuff. He can suck.
I would have never
forever. Yeah.
Because here's the thing: Ariel Helwani needs Tony Khan more than Tony Khan needs Ariel Helwani.
Correct.
Okay. How many pay-per-views did this interview sell?
0.
A statistically insignificant
0,
number.
Yeah.
Okay. But getting Tony Khan to do his show is a big score for Ariel Helwani. I would have never done. Maybe I'm built different. Maybe unlike these two guys who were able to mend fences and be better to each other here. Maybe they're better people than me. I don't know. I'm not concerned with breaking it down from that standpoint. All I know is I never would have done business with Ariel Helwani ever again in my life. So from that standpoint, that's Tony meeting the reputation that he has, that he's a super nice guy. So anyway.
And max numbers. Yes.
I mean, Rich, I don't mean to cut you off. There's wrestling promotions I won't even talk about on this show.
Right.
I just refuse. I don't like, you talk about it. I don't stop you from, have I ever stopped you from talking about anything ever on this show?
Never.
Okay. But there are wrestling, and I'm not going to say which ones. People can probably figure it out. But there are wrestling promotions I will not watch or discuss. So yes, maybe I'm a little different. I would have never done business with Ariel Helwani ever again. And I'll never tell anybody why or who they are. I don't want to make shit about me and have fucking feuds with wrestling promote. I don't.
Quite the obvious. That's why you just avoid it. That's why you just avoid it and say, forget it. Yeah. We're done. We don't need to talk. We're good. Yeah.
I don't want to watch it. And I'm not, and because of reasons, I'm not giving them my attention to my audience is the way I look at it. I'm not getting in war of words or anything, but yeah, I would have never done business with Helwani again. And that's along those similar lines. Anyway, go ahead.
Helwani asked about the HBO Max numbers, and Tony continued to say that he doesn't get the numbers, which Helwani was like, you don't get the numbers? And Tony's like, no, we don't get the numbers, which I still don't believe. I don't know. Where are you at with this? Can you possibly believe that these guys still don't get the numbers or rough idea of what these things do?
I don't know. I mean, I find it hard to believe. I'll just say I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's an easy way for Tony to answer that because let me put it to you this way. I think if it was 1 million people per week,
he'd say there's 1 million people per week.
He'd say it's 1 million people per week. I think it might even be an impressive number, but why? And maybe WBD is holding him the confidentiality on it. That's the other piece.
Because they might not want it to get out either. And that's kind of the thing with all these streaming numbers is there seems to be so much secrecy around it that part of the reason a lot of people think there's secrecy is, like you said, that nobody wants to admit that not as many people are watching these things as people think, or the numbers aren't impressive enough. That there's a lot of people that subscribe to these services, but not enough people are watching individual shows, so that if they said, oh, X amount are watching this thing or whatever, it wouldn't seem very impressive. So they just don't bother saying anything about it.
Yeah, and I think that in the streaming business, there's so much confidentiality because, as Dave Meltzer has opined, the numbers are all probably way lower than any of us think. And how does that suit the interest of these streaming services to advertise these numbers that people aren't going to be impressed with? Right? Because why not let people's imaginations run wild and just assume that everyone is watching streaming when the reality is that's not the truth? You know what I mean?
Right.
Let people think that. Let people think that everyone is watching streaming when the reality is almost no one is watching this shit compared. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe he's getting numbers, but and if he's getting numbers and they're asking him not to communicate those numbers, he's not going to do it, number one. And number two, he's also not going to go out there and say, oh, well, I know the numbers, but they're asking me not to, because then he's throwing them under the bus.
Exactly. Right.
And he wants to keep the peace with this television, with this media property that he has a great relationship with. So that's passing the buck to them and throwing them under the bus. So it's easier to just say, I don't know them. That's a white lie. It's sometimes in life you need, a white lie. And it's so I find it hard to believe. I find it almost impossible to believe that AEW streaming numbers have never crossed Tony Khan's desk.
He did, though, like you said, he praised that the numbers on Blood and Guts last week did really well in the new Nielsen ratings, and that because they did well on TV, he assumes that he must have done well on streaming too. So, all right, whatever. There was the part that we talked about with the Shockwave.
Well, he's probably right.
He's probably right. Yeah.
Why wouldn't it correlate?
Of course it would correlate. Yeah. What you do on streaming is probably very similar to the trends that you do on TV as well. So the Shockwave thing, I forgot about this, that Helwani had no idea the NWA was involved in the Shockwave thing at all. He thought he's like, yeah, what happened to Shockwave? And Tony Khan explains all this big thing with him and Billy Corgan. And Helwani's like, oh, I thought you used it because Pride used to use that. And Tony's like, oh, no, not really. So it was like
Helwani
two people talking different. Like Tony's the wrestling history nerd that's like, oh, well, I talked to Billy Corgan, who owns the National Wrestling Alliance, and they were using it. And Helwani's like, oh, I thought it was because of Pride, and they couldn't quite get on.
Tony was like, I didn't know Pride was
right.
So yeah, and then that's when they got into the national title thing too.
Yeah.
That Tony explained he called Billy Corgan, and I could assure you that was recently. And just conceded both points to them, which is, I mean, that's
the right thing to do.
I suppose Tony Khan could have been a dick and fought on both of those and just said, well, fuck Billy Corgan, what's he going to do? My lawyers are cost more money than his lawyers. But no, it's just the right, like you just said, it's the right thing to do.
Khan said that WWE, and I would go kind of rapid fire because this is when Helwani went rapid fire at the end of the interview. Just kind of said names like he was Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio at this point. But Khan says WWE never reached out about Edge being a part of John Cena's retirement tour. Edge is great. We love Edge, and he's a part of AEW. Yada, yada. That's basically what you're going to hear a lot here. Killer Cross, again, we talked about that.
Tony also said, he said, because Helwani said, well, is it impossible? Is there no way he can take part in this Cena thing? And Tony flat out, he gave you a little insight because he said, well, things change in wrestling if they expand it into future years. But if they're ending it this year, no, it's impossible for Adam Copeland.
Right.
He's basically saying he's
under
contract for the end. Yeah.
Right. Killer Cross, we talked about that, Helwani saying I thought it was a slam dunk, and TK being I haven't talked to him. I was there. I was at a match, or I was at a show where he was there, but I didn't talk to him. So I didn't talk to him.
Tony Khan couldn't have sounded less interested in Killer Cross.
He said nothing about his work, just the fact that he had not spoken to him was all he could say.
In a long time. Like, he met him once and he was nice, and that was it. And then,
but he never said, he did great work, or I'm a big fan of his work, or he's great. Everybody else is great, and I'm big fans, and they're great, and they're great, and they're great. And
right.
Killer Cross, I haven't talked to him in a while. I haven't talked to him. I tried to talk to him, but I haven't been able to talk to him. So it's all right,
Cody, Ricky Starks, CM Punk, Eric Bischoff. They're all great, and I love their work.
Dana White.
Great people.
I love Dana White.
I think he really does love Dana White.
No,
but the other ones where he might be at odds, but then when Cross comes up, it's just, I haven't talked to him in a long time. And when Helwani was like, well, he was really hot at the end there, don't you think? Tony didn't say, oh, yeah, he was red hot. He just said, no, well, I haven't talked to him. He wouldn't give Helwani
anything.
to put this guy over. Like, it was just a total, he couldn't have been more. Now, it's one of two things. Either one, it's what we think it is, and he has no interest in this man. Okay. Or two, it was so over the top in avoiding wanting to discuss him that he's winning the fucking gauntlet on Saturday.
Oh,
it's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. There's no in between.
I think
you know
it's
what I mean?
you know what? I can read Tony pretty well. Remember when Bray Wyatt got released and
Yes.
people asked Tony about Bray Wyatt and he goes, I met him at Chris Jericho's birthday party. He's a very nice guy. And it was just like, and then nothing ever. He never
Nothing
said, I
else.
like his work. He's great. I admire him.
Creative.
He's
so
creative.
smart.
Nothing.
None
I
of
met
that.
him at a birthday party and he seemed like a nice guy, was all he could offer about Bray Wyatt.
I like Wyndham. He's a smart guy. I met him at a birthday party. He was a nice guy. That's all he would say.
Yeah.
It was so, you're so right. It was so similar to that, the way he talked about this guy.
Right. I met this person once and I talked to them once and I haven't talked to them since then.
But Helwani was like aghast that
Yes.
you wouldn't want to sign this guy. Like,
He's a
he couldn't
slam
understand.
dunk addition for AEW. A fucking slam dunk is bringing goddamn Killer Cross and Scarlet to AEW. And they mean nothing, by the way. Zero. They're on the indies right now. Would you know? Do you know where they worked last weekend? Do you know
No.
where they worked the weekend
I have
before?
no clue.
No clue. Nobody has
I
any
didn't-
fucking clue what they're doing.
I didn't know he worked at Darby Allin until Tony Khan said it.
News to me.
I don't know what the hell he's doing. Hey, remember we talked about the thumbnail you used 2 weeks ago for the flagship?
Yes.
And I thought it was, who did I think it was? I thought it was.
You thought it was big Don Fale. You thought it was Big Don Fale.
I thought it was Don Foley, but it was actually, it was, who was it?
MVP. It was MVP.
Like, it was MVP, and I thought it was Don Foley. I'm looking at the thumbnail now. Is that Gene Snitsky? Who did you use for that?
It's not Gene Snitsky.
It
is
looks
Samoa
like Gene
Joe.
Snitsky.
It does look.
Oh.
Now that you mention it, it does look like Gene Snitsky, but it is indeed Samoa Joe.
This whole show, I've been staring at this, thinking, why is Gene?
What's the Gene
Snitsky.
Snitsky hook here?
I was looking up the NWA card to see if he worked the NWA
That's not
show.
impossible.
He
That
didn't.
is not impossible. I should say
It's not impossible, and I thought that was Gene Snitsky. But now that you tell me that that's Samoa Joe, I see it.
I also see
Joe.
how it could look like Gene Snitsky too. So
It looks like Gene Snitsky saying it wasn't my fault. That's what that looks like.
it does kind of look like that's similar eyes. He had like the beard,
Yeah.
similar beard thing
Same
going
mouth,
on. Yeah,
the mouth shape.
Yeah.
of the- it looks like Gene Snitsky after he kicked Lita in the gut and told Kane it wasn't his fault.
Kick the baby into the crowd.
What the fuck?
Ridiculous. Adam Cole. Tony Khan said Adam Cole is still hurt. It would need to be the right situation for him to return to the ring. So essentially that, without saying it, that Adam Cole's had head injuries and he's probably not coming back to wrestling anytime soon.
See, now this I thought was one of the more interesting nuggets in the whole interview because Tony got real solemn real fast. And it really, he almost looked like he was getting emotional talking about Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole is dust.
Yeah, he's done.
I mean, the impression I got here is that Adam Cole was dust. And I don't think that this was Tony working the audience and Cole's going to, we're going to get Adam Cole, baby, at the fucking gauntlet this weekend. I don't think that's the case. I think that Tony, it got real. I think that this is when one of the few times in the interview, maybe the only time, where Tony didn't maybe either got caught off guard, maybe he wasn't expecting this to come up, or didn't have sort of a prepared PR answer for it because he got real solemn. And I was like, this part of the interview took me aback. I was like, whoa, this guy must really be fucked. So, and Adam Cole, let me tell you something about Adam Cole. I don't know a million people in the bit. I know a few people here. I have never heard anyone say anything bad about Adam Cole.
Yeah, everybody loves the guy.
Everyone loves Adam Cole. I talk to people in wrestling who hate everybody. There's someone I talk to in wrestling. I think they hate every single person in wrestling except for Adam Cole. Like, no matter who I bring up, oh, that motherfucker, let me tell you a story. Like, it doesn't, but when Adam Cole comes up, oh, Adam Cole's saying, I love Adam Cole. I would give Adam Cole the shirt off my back. I'd give Adam Cole my last penny. And that's like universal. Adam Cole might be like the most universally liked person in pro wrestling. So it's really a shame that him of all people is going through what he's going through.
Yeah. But yeah, Tony did get very solemn there. And basically, in no uncertain terms, that it'd have to be the very, very right situation for him to ever come back. But essentially, yeah, it seems like head injuries too. So wish him the best there. Very careful answering about Andrade. That was the first one where he said, Ariel, I wanted to answer all of your questions, right? I didn't want to dodge any of your questions.
Yeah.
But I
can't go there.
I will use Andrade when I am able to use him again, is essentially, I would love to work with him when I'm able to work with him, is essentially what he said. So Ariel kind of said, did he not, was he not truthful about his availability? And Tony just said, when he's available, I would love to use him again. Yeah.
Clearly some legal entanglement preventing Tony from even broaching this one at all, which, again, see, I think Ariel asked good questions. I do. I think he broached a lot of good topics.
He broached good. I just wish it was more conversational. I guess that's my thing. Yeah, it's.
You're right.
I think a good interviewer has a conversation with their guest, not here's another question, here's another question, here's another question, here's another question. Let me go down my list of questions that I have, because one question was Tony's answers were not informing the next question, and that's what I think a good interviewer does. But he had a list of questions that he was going to go through, so he did it. But I agree that the questions that he went through were good. I just wanted a little bit more back and forth conversation. But regardless, the Miro Rusev thing, like you said, Tony was like, "Oh, we didn't see eye to eye. We had different visions about his time in AEW, and he was excited to return there." So, all right, whatever. So, Con was asked about Britt Baker, saying that he had great conversations with her and is just waiting for the right creative idea. Well, maybe he's been thinking about a great creative idea for a while for Britt Baker, so it's hasn't come to him just yet, but maybe tomorrow he'll think of a great creative idea for Britt Baker, because it's been a while. It's been a while since he had the right creative idea for her, but regardless. Asked about Jericho. His exact quote was, "I love Chris both personally and professionally. I recently reached out to wish him a happy birthday. I'm very excited about everything he's done in AEW, and he continues to be part of us. Is he going to be back? I can't speak to that. But I love having Chris in AEW, and the door is always open for him." How'd you read that?
I think his contract is coming due. They're at an impasse, and they're probably parting ways.
That's how I read too.
I think that he also tiptoed around the idea that he used up all of Jericho's dates that Jericho is contractually obligated to fulfill. So Jericho is under no obligation to work any more dates. While that seemed to be the impression I was getting. And my read on that one from Tony was that their relationship could be done for now.
Yeah.
He never comes out and says that.
Never.
You have to read between the lines.
The wording of it was very, everything he's done in AEW. Is he going to be back? I can't speak to that. And the door is always open. Like that always, the door is always open is different than he's still part of the Edge he's still very much a part of AEW. Britt Baker was, she's very much still a part of AEW. I just have to find the right creative idea. The door is always open for him is a weird way to say the Jericho thing. So yeah, I'm with you that for now they're done. But if Jericho, doesn't get another offer that he likes, that if he wants to come back to AEW, they'll talk business. But right now, we're done. So that's kind of how I read it. Yeah. And then talk about Ospreay. He just said that he's rehabbing and he will be back sooner than many expect. So good news on the Ospreay front. And that was all I had in my notes. I don't know if you had anything else.
And he really lit up talking about Ospreay too.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Mm-hmm. He's like, "Oh, I love Will Ospreay," and his eyes lit up and he sat up straight in his fucking chair. And so clearly that relationship is strong. The only other thing was the Matt Hardy stuff, where Matt Hardy, he flat out agreed with Matt. Matt Hardy says that the WWE relationship with TNA is to hurt AEW. And Tony was like, "Yeah, I agree with that." He's like, Matt Hardy's right. He's like, Matt is right. He's like, "I love Matt. I love Jeff, and I loved having them in AEW. And I don't, and Helwani was like, "I don't think Matt was being malicious when he said that. He just, and Tony agreed. He said, "Yeah, I just think he understands that that's what WWE is doing, because that's what they do. It's to hurt us." And he agreed with that. Overall, he just wouldn't have. He was not going to have a crossword about anybody.
Oh, I should know you, and you kind of alluded to it too. Sorry that he did mention. Helwani asked about the picture that had it was Punk and Starks and Punk and Jade. back there, with their title belts or whatever. And, Helwani asked about it, and essentially Tony just said, yeah, great. They're all great. I love they're great. Just kind of, no, fuck those guys or whatever. He was just, oh, great. I'm happy they're all happy and they're all in better, they're all having, they're great. A lot of great, just kind of, they're great. And I'm happy that they're happy type of stuff. So yeah, nothing that you could put into a clickbait headline, like you said, which is really, in essence, the whole goal of this entire thing.
Tony did a good job from that standpoint. Yeah. He didn't give people much to work with at all.
All right, so that was Tony Khan on Ariel Helwani's show that is available for free on YouTube if you want to watch back. But Tony went long, too. He did the thing that many people did with us, where Helwani's like, all right, we got to wrap up here. And Tony's like, I got time. We're good. Give him the hard out if it sucks. But then, when they're about to wrap up, say, no, I got plenty of time. You're good. Tell them, I only got 40 minutes, so get this thing over with in 40 minutes. And then 40 minutes, say, no, I got time. You're good.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. So, all right. Where do you want to go now? We have talked about all the American wrestling. Some of the American wrestling. Not all the American wrestling. We still have MLW. That show's happening right. Maybe just finished MLW. The Don Gato show. No spoilers, by the way. I didn't look. We'll do that next week on the show. But the Don Gato show is happening, or I think just wrapped up here a little bit ago. But MLW announced that their headquarters have moved to Charleston, South Carolina as well. So, cool. I don't know.
Yeah, we got a full-on press release for that.
Yeah, we did.
So I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what kind of take I'm supposed to have. I don't know where they were headquartered.
I can't gun to my head. Philly, Court Bauer's apartment in whatever town he's in. I don't know. I had no idea where they were. They were from, but Bauer says that Charleston has a real wrestling lineage. It also has one of the strongest, healthiest business sectors in the country right now. The city is booming. Tech, hospitality, entertainment, everything is on the rise. That kind of ecosystem is exactly what MLW wants to be a part of, I'm sure. Combine that with Charleston's connection to Crockett, WCW, and decades of Southern wrestling, and the decision became obvious. This is a city with heritage and momentum, and that's a rare combination. Charleston has that rare mix of old school quality, creativity, and grit that perfectly mirrors what MLW stands for. The city takes wrestling seriously. It's part of the culture here, part of the rhythm of the South, and it deserves a league that calls it home, and that league is MLW. So, is McBride? Did McBride buy points in this thing? Did Paul Walter Hauser get Danny McBride to buy points in this thing? That's impossible, right?
I don't know if it's impossible. I don't know if it's impossible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of. But the press release is funny because he talks about. Hold on, let me pull that up because there was something I wanted to mock in the press release.
I'm sure there's plenty. Yeah, go find it.
Let me see if I can find that. All right, So Court Bauer, MLW CEO Court Bauer, the South is where the soul of wrestling lives. Charleston has a unique blend of old school quality, creativity, hospitality, and grit. It's a perfect match for MLW's identity and future. He says this is more than an office move. We're planting roots.
Oh, right? Roots, yeah.
So here's the part. Bauer added, Charleston takes wrestling seriously. Here, it's part of the culture and rhythm of the South. The city knows how to tell stories, how to throw a show, and how to make people feel something. That's exactly what MLW brings every time our wrestlers hit the ring. And then he goes on. Where's the line here? Oh, here it is. Okay. The company has become known. This is from the PR statement. This is Sean Graben writing this part. The company has become known for presenting wrestling as a combat sport, not corporate sports entertainment.
Oh, hell yeah.
Blending classic Southern wrestling. Do they do classic Southern wrestling? With Mexican lucha libre, Japanese strong style, UFC level fighters, and global talent partnerships, including CMLL and New Japan. So it says, wrestling used to have a distinct tone depending on where you tuned in, Bauer said. Memphis wasn't New York. We wanted to bring that spirit back. Authentic, local, rooted in place. Okay. No corporate sports entertainment. Then please explain. Was it you fat fuck? And Dario Cueto and his and his
Selena De La Renta,
daughter, and Selena De La Renta, and Eric Bischoff and his shenanigans. They ape the WWE backstage segments as hard as anybody in wrestling. So it's just so funny how they're trying to present this as like serious combat.
No, it's New Japan strong style and Southern wrestling mixed in with Lucha Libre and UFC level fighters.
Meanwhile, we've got what's his name getting tarred and feathered. What was that guy?
Brett Ryan Gosselin. Yeah,
Brett Ryan Gosselin's getting dipped in honey and getting feathered up, and we got Eric Bischoff being offered weed pizza by Matt Riddle and
Filthy Tom
Lawler. And weed laced cupcakes and then Selena De La Renta and the fat fuck and everything else. So I thought that was funny.
That's good.
But so look, I guess they're going to use this venue in downtown Charleston. People, I turned it on briefly earlier. Stage venues where the ring is up on a stage and it's it's not surrounded by fans. The fans are on one side.
Okay. Yeah.
That venue that Gabe Sapolsky ran in New Orleans on the Tulane campus in 2013, 2014, that style where the ring is up on the performance stage and you're all facing the same way looking at the stage. So some people were saying that some of the Lucha guys were having trouble doing dives because there wasn't a lot of room and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, we'll obviously review the show next week. I did see some of the Skyscrapers versus Doc Gallows and
Good Brothers Skyscrapers. Yeah,
I did see some of that before we started the show, but looking forward to reviewing the ML Dub next week.
Of course, yeah, ML Dub free on YouTube, by the way. So we'll do that next week. I'll talk about that show. I should note one thing real quick, and this just got announced a couple hours before, or maybe while we were doing the show. You're not going to believe this, but AAA. They have a show this weekend, and it is going to appear on WWE's YouTube channel on Saturday, the same day as AEW Full Gear. I can't believe it either. Just so happens they decided, you know what? This is a great show for our YouTube channel. So that show has Dragon Lee and Vikingo versus Dom Mysterio and El Grande Americano. It has your AAA World Mixed Tag Team title match, Chelsea Green and Ethan Page versus Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana. Octagon Jr. versus Axiom versus Javon Evans. And then, since we only have 3 women plus Natalya, Fabi Apache and Natalya versus Flammer and La Hiedra. Cannot wait for won't be turning off Full Gear to watch that show. I won't say. But yeah, that is the show that they are going to be putting up on the YouTube channel.
Head to head.
Yes.
That's so ironic.
Darn, what?
The same weekend.
It happened again. Sorry. Shucks. We did it again. Darn.
Well, we'll have another show to review on the Flagship next week.
Yeah. Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana versus Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. My fucking God. All right. I'm going to stick with America here real quick. You didn't watch the show, so I did. I can do it real quick. It finally happened, Joe.
The floor is yours, sir.
It finally happened. After 94 days, 2,256 hours, 13 weeks and 3 days, 25.75% of the year 2025, Silas Mason's NWA World Title win over Tom Latimer finally aired. I loved getting the percentage. I put it into a time calculator, and it gave me the percentage of the year, and I like that. 25.75% of the year has passed since Silas Mason won this title, and it aired on NWA Power on the Roku channel, which I discovered today that you do not need an app to watch the Roku channel. You don't need to have a Roku. You don't need to have a smart TV. You can literally just go to rokuchannel.roku.com or just type in NWA Power Roku, and you can just watch it on your browser. So if you want to watch it on your computer or your phone, you can do so. Don't really I kind of thought the whole gimmick was that it would work on your streaming TV, but hey, I am perfectly fine watching it on my browser as well. So I said, hey, it's an NWA World's Heavyweight Title match. I should probably lock in and watch this. So I watched it, and man, the NWA is it's weird. It's very weird right now. The charm that was there from NWA Power many, many moons ago is very long gone. The charm of the NWA in general is kind of gone. Yet it feels very familiar to the last time we watched the NWA, because the matches were Max the Impaler was in a match, Kratos and Odinson versus Knox and Murdoch was a match. Yes, Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch are back as a tag team. Now they're the champions, NWA World Tag Team Champions, against Kratos and Odinson. Kratos and Odinson were there forever when we were still watching. Max the Impaler was there forever when we were watching. And Joe Galli's still on commentary. Danny Deals, the weird commentator, not heel commentator necessarily, but I guess the color guy that's sort of shisty and weird. He is the color commentator. He was the color commentator last time we watched, and it all just kind of feels the same. And then the main event was Silas Mason and Tom Latimer. Now, I will say one of the huge disappointments of this. Now, the rest of the show was awful. The rest of the show, absolutely dreadfully awful. Nihan versus Max the Impaler was your opener. It was terrible. Some mini wrestler came out. It was just like, what is happening? Gags the Gimp came out. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. This is all really dumb, and I don't like any of it. So that was just a terrible match. Max the Impaler was just horrible, and Nihan wasn't very good either. So that was a Falls Count Anywhere street fight. It was bad. The crowd didn't care. So just do not, for God's sakes, do not watch this match from months and months and months ago. That was no good. The Immortals versus Knox and Murdoch. It's Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch in the year 2025. And what the fuck do you think you're going to get out of that? And Kratos and Odinson, they're fine, but Odinson isn't quite what he used to be. Kratos is okay still, but not any great shake. So this was another just horrible match that the crowd did not care about. And then the main event came, Silas Mason versus Tom Latimer. And the crowd cared a little bit about this, but you could definitely tell that this was a crowd that had sat through a 9-hour NWA 77 show, just didn't seem to know what was going on, didn't seem to care about much of the actual in-ring, but these guys got him a little bit towards the end. The match itself was no good. Just Tom's not very good anymore, and Silas, huge disappointment with Silas Mason, because he used to have like a unique character and a unique look. He used to, have that beer belly and a mullet, and he had a lot of energy, and he came out and he was, the Thrillbilly Silas Mason or whatever, and he had, funny managers with him and goofy managers that he could kind of play off of. He's kind of stripped all that. He's skinny now. He's got I don't know if he necessarily has abs, but he's definitely skinnier. He's definitely dropped a considerable amount of weight. He looks good as a normal human being. I'm glad that he lost the weight, and I hope that he's healthy or whatever, but I kind of like Silas Mason, the big pudgy hillbilly. That kind of worked a little bit better.
Well,
the story.
You like the Silas Mason who portrayed Terry Gordy in the Iron
Yes, yes. But he came out this time and he was just skinny and trim, and he was like, I'm determined to win the NWA title, and that was it. He wasn't like the Thrillbilly anymore. He didn't have any sort of character to him. He was just like a guy who wants to win the NWA World title, and he's skinny, and I don't know, it just didn't really work. And they went out there and they had a pretty generic match. It wasn't very good. Tom Latimer is, again, not very good. And Silas Mason won, and the crowd, kind of cared a little bit that he won, but not a ton. And that was kind of it. And I was just like, all right, well, that's NWA 77. I can't wait to watch Samhain in February, but it's a very weird company. It's a very, very strange company, and it's not something I'm going to watch every single week, but it's 55 minutes. It was easy to watch. It's just, none of it's any good. That's the problem. It's just not very good. So, I don't know.
That's been the talk of everyone who actually does watch this show, that it's just a very strange, bizarre show with weird creative choices.
The wrestlers are just not very good. And that sort of happened with, I watched Billy Corgan do his thing in Chicago here because he had that Resistance Pro company. Mm-hmm. And when they first started, there was some interesting stuff that they were doing. But little by little, as time went on, they just became this weird company that just booked terrible wrestlers with crazy, goofy gimmicks. And that kind of became the thing that they'd focus on. And that's kind of Billy's thing. I mean, Billy, that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to have a solid, good, in-ring, bell-to-bell, technical wrestling promotion. That's not what he wants. And, the Swink and I are probably the only two people listening to this that went to most of those Resistance Pro shows. I didn't go to all of them, but I went to a lot of them until they just started becoming more like this. And I was like, this isn't good. I don't really want to watch this anymore. So I just kind of stopped going, and then they eventually quietly went away, and whatever happened there. And then,
You were like, I want Jay Bradley hitting people with the boomstick.
Yeah.
I don't want all these gimmicks.
Right. But there was a lot of gimmicks. I want Marche Rocket out there defending the title with all of his mights. But that's just not Billy. Billy clearly wants wrestling that's a little more goofy and a little bit more over the top, and that's fine. But the in-ring, it suffers.
It clashes with the NWA branding.
Yes.
That's the problem. It clashes with all of that. It's more, the branding is more suited to a traditional style of pro wrestling. And quite honestly, that's what the wrestling scene in America is lacking. And I think he would easier find his niche if he went down that road. If you look at the most successful period of the NWA, It was when NWA Power debuted pre-pandemic and they were doing old school studio style wrestling that meshed with the branding. And it felt so different than everything else because all the rest of pro wrestling had gotten away from that meat and potatoes style. And that's why it became a niche and a cult favorite. And then that all went away after the pandemic and Lagana, whatever happened there. And then it became something very different. And as the further we've moved away from that, it's seemingly the worse it's gotten.
Yeah, the opener was just, you have Gags the Gimp out there, and Father James Mitchell is bringing his crew out there, and you got a mini. I think the mini was actually in the Immortals versus Knox and Murdoch match, and I'm like, what is happening? And they're like, oh, that's like Little Red or something. I'm like, what is happening here? What is this? Like, what am I watching?
I think that every wrestling promoter needs to read Moneyball, and they need to understand that you need to sort of exploit what's not being exploited in your business. And why would anyone, watch what the NWA is offering up when there's other places that are going to do that bullshit better and at a higher budget than them? It's offer people something that they can't get anywhere else. And we always talk about this with AEW. And, I don't understand why everyone insists on being some cousin, some closely related version of what you can get everywhere else. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to cultivate your own audience? So I think that Billy should take a hard look at when he was most successful. When he was actually selling pay-per-views, and you remember, like, they were doing okay.
They were doing decent numbers. They were selling that show in St. Louis we always talked about. That sold, like, legit sold tickets.
Out for 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's and that was even post the I'm talking about the pre-pandemic power era.
Oh, yeah.
They had a niche.
They were different. They were niche. And like you said, people had a reason to talk about them, saying, hey, they're doing stuff different than anybody else is. And what they're doing differently is they're basically just aping 1983 professional wrestling. But that's fine because nobody else is doing that right now.
Because no one else is doing it. It feels unique. And it had a little cult following, and Cornette kind of did them a lot of damage with the fried chicken joke. And that ran some people off. But they were able to navigate that. But then the pandemic it all changed with the pandemic, and losing the booker to speaking out and all of that. And then you saw the change in tone with how the presentation of the show and the booking, and we used to cover it as a meme. It was always bad, but it continually gets worse.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
What did you think of this Puerto Rican giant, Nihan?
Oh, he's horrible. Fucking horrible.
Horrible?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God awful.
Irredeemably horrible.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
You couldn't even figure out nothing to do with him?
No.
Okay.
No. Because I remember thinking that there was something there with that guy just because I looked at him and I was like, oh, wow. But yeah, he's rough. He's really, really rough. Now, I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's because he was with Max, who was no good at all. And the match, had a bunch of run-ins with Gags the Gimp and a bunch of other bullshit.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know if I'm judging him on the right merits, but I didn't see much from him that.
So you didn't take a look at that and say, man, I could do some things with this guy if I was given a chance. Okay.
No.
It's really hard to book a giant. It's a challenge.
It is.
What do you do with Satnam Singh? What do you do?
Have him face Colt Cabana dark matches for all eternity, I guess.
There's really only one thing you could do with a giant, and that is present them as unbeatable monsters, build them up, have them win your title, build up a baby face to finally vanquish the giant and look like a big hero. But then that's it. That's the entire arc, because now once the giant is defeated, the aura's gone. They usually can't work because they're too big. Do you know what I mean? So the only thing you could do with a giant once you pick your baby face to knock them off is slowly work them back down the card. Then you have them in a semi-main event spot against another different baby face, right? Then you turn them. Then maybe you could have the giant be a baby face and put over heels on the way up, right? But then once you do that, now there's really nothing. Like, what else can you do?
Yeah, without a territory system, it's very difficult to book.
Giants are impossible.
Yeah, they have to just be they have to be okay moving to different companies, but where do you go and what do you know what I mean? Like, that's just not how the business is set up anymore.
I think WWE handled the Great Khali almost perfectly. That's how you do it. And then they built him up. He was unstoppable. He won their title. You did what you did, and then you eventually turned him babyface, and he was dancing with Natalya. Like, what else do you do with him? There's nothing left to do. You know, it's very hard with the limitations with their work and everything. So everyone says, "Oh wow, I've discovered this 7'3." Yeah, but then like, what do you do with Omos? What do you do with him? Like it's hard. It's hard to get anything of value. It's a very tricky scenario, and I think you nailed it. They don't work in the current environment where you have contracted wrestlers who stay in a promotion for years on end. That's the problem with a Giant. You need them to spend 6 months in your territory and then go to the next place. But wrestling isn't set up like that anymore. People don't remember or don't know. Andre was a touring attraction. There was a reason for that. Andre didn't plant his fucking flag in Portland and stay there for 3 years. That's not what Andre was. Andre would come in, work a program, move on. You know, maybe he'd be based in a certain territory at a certain period of time. But even then, Vincent Jay McMahon would loan Andre out, get him away for a while, because it's like there's only so much you can do. I just think that the idea of the freak show Giant doesn't really jive with modern pro wrestling.
No, it doesn't work. Yeah, they have to come in, do a thing for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then go to the next territory, and they can come back. They can come back to your territory in a year or two after people forget about him. And oh my God, he's back! The monster is back. But yeah, you can't be there forever. You know, Kamala used to do that too, bounce all over the place. I mean, everybody did. They all did. That's what you would do. You come in,
especially the Giants.
Yeah, the big Giants would come in and be the guys that would. Honestly, like Giant Gonzalez and WWF is a good example too of them having him come in, attack the Undertaker, do the WrestleMania match, do the SummerSlam match, and then say, okay, we're good, and then he's done. You know, the guy had 7 months in the company, and it was like, all right, we're good.
Got everything we're going to get out of him. Yeah. It's like, look at Andre, like when Dusty brought in Andre to help him fight Ole and everything after the turn. Like, that's how you use Andre. You bring him in, you try to pop a house because it's Andre the Giant, right? Calling in Andre for backup. He didn't stick around in fucking Georgia for 6 years. Came in for that show, which didn't do great business. People seem to forget that, as great as the angle was, but that's neither here nor there. But you just, you move around. So I think that's where WWE is struggling with a guy like Omos. They don't know what to do with him. You know, they send him to Japan, they send him to Mexico, and they can't figure out what to do with a guy like that on TV.
So to conclude our NWA thing, and then we'll move on to other topics, the next episode autoplayed, and Baron Von Storm came out, and I said, okay, we're good here. We're good.
Oh, come on. Like, you can't get into the Baron Von Storm?
No.
All right.
I can't. So, but Danny Deals is still there, so I thought you'd appreciate that. But
why do you keep saying that?
Yeah, you and Danny Deals feel like you guys would get along pretty well.
I should be insulted by that, but I kind of agree. I guess I don't know.
He's talking about the action. He's like, I put action on this match. What do you mean?
Yeah, he's always talking about gambling.
Right.
Always, constantly.
He's addicted to gambling.
Yeah.
Anyway. The other funny thing, too, was throughout the show, now I was watching on the browser, so I don't know if it's different if you watch on your smart TV or whatever, they kept cutting to break, but then no commercials would ever air. And I didn't have like an ad blocker on or whatever. I was just watching on my normal browser that has ads all the time, and no ads got put in. So Joe Gallo's like, oh my God, we have to go to commercial. I can't believe it. And then they come back, and it's just, normal.
No commercial.
No commercial. So, whatever. There was also some dumb pretense. EC3 is still there, and he's still doing the same fucking thing he's always done. Kenzie Page got interviewed by Joe Galley, and she's going to take some time away, and whatever. It's just, nothing going on. It's NWA, man. I don't know. Joe Galley's very good. I feel bad for Joe Galley. He's very good at his job, but... a
professional.
He is a professional announcer, yep. Anyway. I like the ring announcer, too, Kyle Davis. He's a good guy, too. He's the guy that sent you your hoodie, or what'd you got, the T-shirt? The NWA
T-shirt, my Crockett Cup T-shirt. I rocked the Crockett Cup T-shirt.
He's the one that personally delivered it to you, right?
Indeed. He's
sorry, he didn't show up to your house. I should preface. He didn't show up to your house with it. He made it happen so that we could deliver to your house.
He made it happen. I got my Crockett Cup T-shirt. I rock that every laundry day, man. It's a good laundry day shirt.
It's a comfortable shirt. It's a good quality shirt.
It's a comfortable shirt. It's a laundry day shirt. It works. It's
Is it stiff cotton or is it's got a good feel to it?
I don't know, man. It's a soft cotton shirt. I don't know.
some cotton shirts suck and some are good.
It's true. They're scratchy. You get the scratchy.
Yeah, is it a scratchy shirt or no?
No, it's a soft cotton shirt. Here's why I like it. It fits well because it's super tight around my biceps. And it's loose around the waist. So I look absolutely fucking ripped in my NWA Crockett Cup shirt. So yeah, I like it. It makes my chest look big. And
representing what was that, like the 2022 Crockett Cup or whatever?
It's the one the Briscoes won. So
that's right. Yeah, 2021.
23?
Not 2022. 2022. I was right. How did I know that off the top of my head? That's terrible, but yes.
Yeah. It's not an embarrassing wrestling shirt design either. It's just a basic. It's the Crockett Cup logo. You wouldn't even know it's a wrestling shirt if you didn't know any better. Looks like some shitty band that nobody likes or something. Right. I don't know.
All right, so that concludes the National Wrestling Alliance. I will not be locked in next week, but hey, next time there's an NWA title switch, I'll watch it 9 months after it happens on their TV. So, all right, let's go to we got Japan or Mexico. Where do you want to go? You want to go ZERO1 or CMLL?
I'm champing at the bit to do this ZERO1.
Oh, let's do it. So plug your article first and foremost.
Did you notice I said champing at the bit?
Thank you.
That's a little nod to Rob McCarran, who's back in the in the podcast family here, back in the second seat for Shake Them Ropes the last few weeks, with Rob McCarran back, and that was one of his hangups. He would one of his pet peeves when people would say chomping at the bit. He would always correct them that it's champing at the bit. So do you see what I did there, Rich?
I did.
You see what I did? There was a nod to Rob McCarran.
And give a plug for Shake Them Ropes.
Everyone should go listen to Shake Them Ropes with Rob McCarran back in the show that he founded, Rob McCarran. So with, of course, the Hawk. Do we call him the Hawk?
You do. Calls him the Hawk. Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I do my own thing sometimes,
You're rebellious. You're a rebellious cat, Joe.
I'm a rebel, Dottie. I do what I do. So Jeff Hawkins and Rob McCarran with their undeniable charisma back at Shake Them Ropes. Yes, and to plug my own work, I did do a massive write-up on ZERO1 Gear. It was, what's the title of that fucker? Let me pull it up. It is, I got it. Hold your horses there, Rich.
I'm ready. Hold
your horses. I hear you loading
ready.
up.
I was ready.
I heard you loading up you took a deep breath.
Yep,
you were ready to go. All right. So this would be on the $10 tier written work. The story is Reborn. The story of 2025 Pro Wrestling ZERO1, the rebirth of Hayabusa, and a little bit of hope. And I take you through the entire year of Pro Wrestling ZERO1 starting in January. It's a timeline style article. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Timeline style article where I review every ZERO1 match that hit tape outside of their sketchy streaming service, which we'll get to in a second. Every publicly available legal or illegal match that hit tape for ZERO1 gets reviewed in the article in the period of time that it occurred within the timeline of the article, if that makes sense. So I take you through the entire year. I break down all of the pertinent stories of ZERO1 in terms of behind the scenes, in front of the camera, and how it coincided with the rollout and the rise of the new Hayabusa. So it took me, about a week or so to write this and watch everything. And I put a lot of work into it. It's got all the links for the matches in the article. And I think people will learn something about a promotion that nobody else is covering. I mean, let's be honest. Who else is covering ZERO1? So you'll get caught up on their whole year, the behind the scenes, full analysis, match reviews, star ratings if you're into that. And I take you through January right up to this show that we're about to review, which took place on November, what was the date? 6th? What was the date of the show?
Let me get the exact date for you. I don't have it in front of me. You are no, the 10th. The 10th.
The November 10th Cork and Hall show, which was ZERO1 Reborn. which had the big Hayabusa versus Kaito Kiyomiya main event. So I think that if people listen to this review and if they plan on watching that show, which is on Wrestle Universe, by the way, live that night, it was like $4 on pay-per-view or something to watch the show. But then the following Monday, they put it on Wrestle Universe for free. So you can watch the whole show we're about to review if you subscribe to Universe. But a good companion piece to that would be that article I wrote. And also, voiceofwrestling.com. What's the name of the author again? I only know his forum name, Avengers 23 or whatever.
Oh, Kim Wong.
Kim Wong wrote a very good article on the Hayabusa Masato Tanaka mask versus career match, right? So that's another good companion piece to getting all caught up on ZERO1.
Yeah, Trapped in the Cage Match is the name of that series that Kim's doing, going through all of the top-rated matches on Cage Match this year and kind of reviewing them really quickly and talking about, are they good? Are they worth your time? All that sort of stuff. So.
Right. And one of those in that series was the Hayabusa Masato Tanaka match, which I gave 5 stars. I thought the Hayabusa Masato Tanaka mask versus career, and I note that in the piece that I wrote, I went the full 5 on that. It's not their first match, because that match is out there too. Not the debut match that Hayabusa had against Masato Tanaka at the Lucha Festival. That's not the 5-star match. The 5-star match is the match they had. Was it Shinkiba or was it Shinjuku Face? I think it was Shinkiba.
Oh, I think Shinkiba, but yeah, I forget.
Doesn't matter. They're basically the same building. It was...
Unfortunately, the new Hayabusa doesn't have a cage match, so you're going to have to go to Masato Tanaka if you're trying to figure it out that way.
Well, I'm looking at my review, and I didn't note what the building was. I thought I did.
I'll get it for you here real quick. Let's see. It was Shinkiba first ring.
Yeah, that's the match I'm talking about. That I went full 5.
August 3rd, 2025.
Yeah. So, highly recommend that piece. I got some good feedback on it. Look, we try to cover different things around here. But anyway, that all leads us up to this November 10th show in Cork and Hall. ZERO1 Reborn, 1,245 fans, which that is a monster number for ZERO1. Yeah. I don't know if people can conceive or understand this. They run Shinkiba. They run Shinjuku Face. They run free outdoor shows. They haven't drawn a paid house like this in a long time. And did they bring Kaito Kiyomiya in to do it? And they brought in some other outsiders as well, and we'll talk about that. But, the reason I titled my piece Reborn is because they really have been reborn. I think ZERO1 has done a great job this year. Obviously, rolling out Hayabusa has gotten them a lot of attention they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But, they had 3 shows really that stand out to me. They ran that tag match in Kawasaki at the site of the old Kawasaki Stadium, which was torn down, where FMW used to run their big shows, the Kawasaki Stadium.
Yeah, of course.
It's now a football stadium, roughly the size of a large high school or small college. And they ran a tag match. It was Mammoth Sasaki and Masato Tanaka versus Hayabusa. And who did Hayabusa team with in that match? Let me pull that up. Point being, they didn't have people in the bleachers for that match, but they had plenty of people on the floor. It was the biggest ZERO1 attendance that I had seen in many years in that show in Kawasaki. And then, they follow that up with the mask versus career singles match that filled up Shinkiba. And then, of course, this is a massive success, drawing 1,200 fans to Cork and Hall, something that, you wouldn't ever think that modern ZERO1 could do. I mean, no, they weren't even running Cork and Hall anymore. And
So I ran some numbers, and the last couple times they ran Cork and Hall, they just basically didn't even tell you what the numbers were.
Right.
But last numbers that we have, July 2023, Fire Festival Finals. So that's the end of their big summer tournament. That drew 538 people.
Yeah, you're talking a couple hundred people. So, and then they just abandoned the building. They stopped running it. They're running Shinkiba and Shinjuku Face. And to draw almost 1,300 fans really puts a cap on what was a reborn year for them. And it was Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzaki, of course, against Mammoth Sasaki and Masato Tanaka in Kawasaki at the site of the old Kawasaki Stadium. Obviously thick with symbolism, a match like that. And, they brought in Mammoth Sasaki at the beginning of the year because he had those FMW roots and connections, because they knew they were going to be doing this Hayabusa thing. So they brought in a guy who worked with and was a rival of Hayabusa in real time in Sasaki. And, after Hayabusa debuts against Masato Tanaka at the Lucha show, Sasaki comes out and he's like cutting a promo on him. He's like, "Hey, motherfucker, I don't know who you think you are," but, so they did a good job setting that up by bringing in Mammoth Sasaki and weaving him into the fabric of the promotion before they even rolled out Hayabusa. So he was ready to go. You know what I mean? So he's been a key part of their year. He stuck around for the Fire Festival. Hayabusa won the Fire Festival. He beat Chris Weiss in the final, which, again, former ZERO1 world champion, upper mid-card, main event guy, and Chris Weiss, who, I was talking to one of our, Kevin Shiat, our one of our Australian guys, and I said, Chris Weiss, he just lives in Japan now, right? And he said, yeah, he was supposed to go to ZERO1 for one tour about 12 years ago, and he never came back.
That's awesome. Good for him.
So, Chris Weiss has been a mainstay in ZERO1 for years and years and years, and basically lives in Japan now. And so Hayabusa, he beat Masato Tanaka, he beat Chris Weiss, he beat Mammoth Sasaki, and they've really done a great job with him. And he's not a finished product. He's still green. There's still some holes in his work, but man, does he nail all the spots he needs to nail, with the exception of the Firebird Splash, which he always misses by a mile. And
yeah,
for whatever reason, the position, it always looks bad. But everything else, it's like, he's got the rest of the Hayabusa routine down, and it doesn't come across like a cosplay. My concern was it would come across like a cosplay. It comes across more of a legitimate tribute and follow-up than it does. It comes across more like the Lucha, when the Lucha where you see new guys do the same gimmick, more so than some derivative copycat who doesn't know what they're doing. That's the best way I can describe it. But again, that all leads up to this show that we're about to review.
So yeah, it's Noah Reborn, ZERO1 Reborn, ZERO1 first advance to the Holy Land. Hell of a name there for this show.
Mouthy.
Yeah, a little mouthy, but there you go. Let's start with the main event, and then we'll work our way through, because the undercard was pretty horrible.
Not much there.
Not much there. Pretty awful, and not much there. Main event and the semi-main event are we're talking about. So the main event was Kaito Kiyomiya versus Hayabusa, with Kaito Kiyomiya defeating Hayabusa. In that main event, they went 1947. I liked the match a lot, but I had a little bit of a hang-up that I want to get your thoughts on the match first, and then I'll give you what kind of bothered me about it before. What do you think of this match? And then I'll give you what I didn't like about it.
I've seen every Hayabusa match that's on tape that isn't behind their sketchy streaming service. ZERO1 has a streaming service, but it's very difficult to sign up for because you have to have a Japanese zip code and all of this.
Yeah, I tried and it was like too hard. After 25 minutes of trying to sign up, I just said, forget it. I don't care. So
right. So I've seen everything that's on tape outside of their streamer. This is the second best Hayabusa match. It wasn't as good as the Masato Tanaka mask for his career, which obviously ended in a draw because he's still wearing his mask and Masato Tanaka is not retired. But it was better than the first Hayabusa Masato Tanaka match, and it was better than all of the other Hayabusa matches that I've seen. I would put it somewhere around 3 3/4, 4 stars. It had all of the flaws that you see with the new Hayabusa, in that he's actually better at the high impact stuff than he is at the meat and potatoes. Like, his strikes are weak. Mm-hmm. He struggles a little bit between the moves in terms of how to emote. Remember, he's wearing a mask, and I'm sure this guy wasn't a masked. No one knows who it is, by the way. I'm sure this guy wasn't a masked wrestler before he took on the gimmick. You kind of have to learn how to work in a mask, because you don't have facial expressions to lean on.
And it makes you appreciate Hayabusa, the original, that much more, because that was a guy who had so many good facial reactions, and yet you couldn't see his face.
Right. It just, or like I always say, guys that wear masks should watch El Generico tapes. I mean, that guy managed to convey emotion and emote while wearing a mask. Now, you could see his mouth, to be fair. His mask was like a half mask. But the idea is still the same. You have to be a little more exaggerated with your movements. It's just a vibe. And this guy has to learn how to work with the mask. But look, I thought it was a solid match, and Kiyomiya had to win. This was Hayabusa's first singles loss. He's been on the losing side of other matches, but never a singles match. If you're going to get Kiyomiya to work your show and work your main event, the trade-off is he's not going to lose to you, right? So it's like he had to win.
Of course,
he's too big of a star to lose, right? Hayabusa did get to do the promo at the end of the match. But, so they went 1-for-1 though, because Tanaka beat obviously the Noah guy to win the vacant world title. But before I jump ahead, what did you think of the main event?
So I liked it. I liked the work in it. I thought Hayabusa looked good in it. Like you said, he's very good at, the dives to the outside, and they've done a great job of cutting, getting the camera to perfectly, they nail it every single time. He's got the big moves. He's got the big spots. He has all that sort of stuff. And Kaito Kiyomiya is great. Kaito Kiyomiya is a phenomenal pro wrestler. What bothered me about this match, and I was hoping I was going to get it and I didn't get it, was this is supposed to be Noah versus ZERO1, right? This is a Noah guy coming into ZERO1 against their top young guy. I want Kaito Kiyomiya to have a prick attitude about himself. You know what I mean? I want him to have that dog in him. You guys were talking about that in your Discord this past week. Your Discord. I'm on it. I don't know why I said your Discord. I'm there too. voiceofwrestling.com/Discord. You guys are talking about athletes that have that dog in them. Kaito Kiyomiya, I wanted him to have that dog in him and say, you know what, motherfucker? You're ZERO1. I'm Noah. I'm defending my company against your company. I'm the top star in my company. I'm a former champion. I'm this, I'm that. You're nothing. You're a young guy in this ZERO1, this podunk bullshit company or whatever. And I wanted a little bit of hatred from Kaito Kiyomiya, because that's what you used to get when these guys used to come in, especially in Japan. When you would come in and do these interpromotional matches or interpromotional tags or whatever, there would be a lot of hate and a lot of heat there, right? Like these guys would come in and it would be like, fuck you, I'm defending my title. Shinya Hashimoto would go to other places and defend ZERO1 with all of his honor and say, no, motherfucker, and have a real hatred about it and a real anger about it. And all Japan guys would go to Noah and there'd be a real anger about it. And these guys would go other places and there'd be a real anger about the fact that, you're in another company. I'm in this company, you're in that company, and that's enough for us to hate each other. And I thought Kaito Kiyomiya worked well, and it was a good match, but you would think Kaito Kiyomiya is just a normal ZERO1 roster member. He didn't have that extra little oomph of, I'm here as an invader in your promotion, and I'm going to show that I'm better than you. And that used to be the standard. And it wasn't standard until not that long ago, because very recently, with this exact guy, Kazuchika Okada and Kaito Kiyomiya, that's the energy right there. Remember? Kaito Kiyomiya hit Okada with that kick, and Okada was like, all right, motherfucker, you're fucking dead, you piece of shit.
To the point some people thought it was a shoot.
Yeah. Because he went, all right, I'm done. I was trying to be nice, but you're a piece of shit. Fuck you. So he just grabs the kid and just
kick the shit out of him.
Kick the shit out of him. And I'm like, there we go. That's the energy. You know what? I was going to be nice, but you're from Pro Wrestling Noah, and I don't really like you, and you kicked me a little hard, so fuck you. I'm going to kill you. That's kind of
fuck you up. And he threw him out of the ring violently and then beat the shit out of him.
Right. That's the energy.
There's also Tanahashi Hiroshima. Remember that?
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. How great was that?
Where affable Hiroshi Tanahashi, one of the nicest guys in wrestling, just completely disrespected Hiroshima on his own turf by treating him like he was beneath him. Like disregarding him like he was a piece of indie wrestling trash. But that's the energy you're talking about.
Yeah. Right. And I thought Kiyomiya needed to bring that energy into this match against Hayabusa, because he's the veteran. He's the veteran from the bigger company coming in to ZERO1 to face their young upstart wrestler. I wanted him to have more of that energy, and he had Kaito Kiyomiya, Noah, babyface energy here, and I thought that was the wrong vibe for him. Now, again, the work was good, but I wanted a little bit more hate and a little bit more heat, and I didn't get that. And that used to be standard, but I don't know if Kaito Kiyomiya has that in him. I don't know if he's got that dog in him.
That's the other thing. Yeah, I don't know if he's that guy.
Right.
I don't know if he's that guy. And I don't know if that's what ZERO1 wanted. We have to consider that, too. They already knew he was losing. Right. So it's like, do we want him to get punked out and lose when our guy has to lose here? But that's the trade-off when you're going to do a show that draws this many fans and the biggest show you've done in years. You're going to bring in the big star. You're going to have to lose to the guy. So,
for sure. But good. It was good work, and I definitely recommend people check it out. Now, the undercard is available for free on YouTube, but the undercard cuts off at like the 2 matches you're going to want to watch. So the whole show itself, though, is on Wrestle Universe. So if you've subscribed for Noah or Tokyo Joshi Pro or whatever, DDT or whatever, it is up there in full for you on Wrestle Universe. So highly recommend checking it out. It's the whole show you can watch in like 2.5 hours or something like that.
Oh, yeah. It's a quick watch. Even the bad stuff doesn't overstay its welcome. So from that standpoint, But
except Jiro. Jiro overstayed his welcome because
Jiro
anytime he exists,
absolutely overstayed his welcome.
Whenever he exists on my screen, he's overstaying his welcome, but he always overstays his welcome, unfortunately.
And again, they brought in a lot of special guests for this because it was such a big show for them. Like, he's not part of the roster.
No.
So they brought in Jiro and some Noah guys. Masato Tanaka defeats Atsushi Katoge for the vacant 0-1 world title. This, of course, vacated by Go Shiozaki, who his contract expires from Noah. And then Hayabusa's like, hey, where's our world title? Is this guy ever coming back? And then Shiozaki basically says, well, you guys changed owners and I did business with the old owners, so I don't really feel obligated to do any business with these new guys because I don't know them. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And that's literally what he said. He said, that's all I'm going to say about that. So they're like, well, he's not coming back. So where's the title belt? So Atsushi Katoge, who's the new leader of Team Noah, which is the Noah faction that competes in 0-1, it's sort of these old school Noah guys who are on the outs in actual Pro Wrestling Noah, because Pro Wrestling Noah is such a different company now. And guys like Go Shiozaki and Katoge and Muhammad Yone and Hajime Ohara and all these guys, they don't get pushed in Noah proper anymore.
Right.
So they've been hanging out in 0-1, and Shiozaki was the champ, and they have their little Team Noah faction. And so Katoge, as the new leader and representative of Team Noah, was the one who handed over the title belt. That led to a war of words on Twitter between Go Shiozaki, Atsushi Katoge, and Marufuji. There's history there because Naomichi Marufuji and Go Shiozaki have always been like frenemies. They don't really like each other. Marufuji's I think he's the vice president of Noah, and he's a vice president in Cyberfight too, I think. So he basically called out Shiozaki for not being a man and returning the belt himself. And then Katoge was defending. It became a whole mess. If you think American pro wrestling is the only place where people subtweet each other on Twitter, you're wrong because it happens in Japan too.
Yes.
So
even more of a degree sometimes. I mean, they get real messy.
Yeah.
They get real fucking messy.
And this was messy. So Katoge basically, as the rep, turned the belt over, and they had this match for the vacant title. They made the right call. Masato Tanaka needed to win this thing back for 0-1, especially since it had been in the hands of Team Noah for so long with Shiozaki. It was a good match. Nothing to write home about, but easily the second best match on this show. Katoge, he's never been great, and I don't even think he's what he once was. He's getting up there in age now. His whole thing used to be to shoot headbutts and making his own head bleed. Thankfully, he's not doing much of that anymore. He's a little exaggerated in his selling. He's a interesting wrestler, not someone who I've ever considered great. Tanaka is still fantastic, especially when he really wants to ramp it up. I thought Masato Tanaka had maybe the pro wrestling performance of the year against Hayabusa in that Mask vs. Career match. Have you seen that match?
I have, and he's fucking phenomenal in it. Yeah,
how great is he in that match?
He is still so good, and it seems unbelievable because we were having this conversation of early in the show's history, we were doing can you guys believe Masato Tanaka's still out there and he's still pretty good? And he's still really good. Like when we started the show, he was still really good. Like 2013, 2014, 2015, he was still really good. Now he's just still pretty good. But the fact that he's still pretty good after all these years, but he gets it in a way that a lot of other guys don't get it. And he has an aura about him and an energy about him that just there's a vibe about Masato Tanaka that so many other people don't have, but he just gets it in a way that a lot of other guys don't get it. But no, he is really, really good. Is he exactly what he was, 20 years ago? No, but I don't know, man. I think he's almost as good as he's ever been. Really. I really do. Because a performance like that reminds me that this guy is an elite level professional wrestler. And I think we forget about him a lot. I think we can historically underrate him. And I think a lot of people know him as the guy who faced Mike Awesome in ECW, but he's so much more than that. And he's had so much bigger of a career than that.
I think at this stage of his career, he knows when to dial it all the way up too. And he dialed it up against Hayabusa in their second singles match, the one that went to the draw. I think that match is just utterly fantastic, and everyone needs to go out of their way to watch it. Now, this match against Katoge had elements of the Hayabusa match. He did the very, very breaky, bishi in both matches, which is his dive through the table on the floor. and then using the broken piece of table to just beat the shit out of his opponent after he breaks the table, which is just so great. I mean, especially in the Hayabusa match, he just had a nasty of violence and nastiness. You could tell he was ramping it up, and he did the same spot against Katoge. So anyway, he wins the belt. It's the right booking call. What they need to do now is build towards Hayabusa beating Tanaka for that title on a big show. I don't know when you want to do it. I don't know what you want to build towards another Cork and Hall. You want to be a little more ambitious and try it somewhere else. I don't think they're ready for that. I think Cork and Hall is a good goal to do that match and do the title change. But Hayabusa has to beat Tanaka for that title at some point. And you've already set the table for it by having established that Tanaka can't beat him. He lost to him once. Mm-hmm. He fought him to a draw the second time. He was on the losing end of the tag in Kawasaki. Okay. Look at us breaking down ZERO1 booking.
I love it. I'm here,
This
man.
is when I love this show. This is when I love this show. Okay. And, then they team together
Fantasy
a few times.
booking ZERO1. I mean, find another show. Find me any other show.
Just breaking down the booking, And then they team together a few times, and because the respect factor. So the story's there. So you got to build properly to it and have Hayabusa beat Tanaka for the title. It's perfect symbolism too, anyway, because Tanaka's been the top star here for at least a decade now, and you just got to stick the landing, so to speak. That's where you need to go with this. And Hayabusa losing to Kiyomiya is not that big a deal because people see that as the bigger star from the bigger company. And that's okay. Now, down the line, if Hayabusa can keep drawing money, and he's been drawing money at this small level, I'm not trying to tell you, but listen, by ZERO1 standards,
you got to crawl before you can walk. They were doing 5:38 2 years ago in this building. Right. Now they're doing 12:45 for
That's right.
It's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, but the arrow's pointed in the right direction for the first time in this company in a very, very, very long time.
Again, what's the theme? Reborn. And they're filling Shinkiba and Shinjuku Fair. They couldn't even do that before. They'd be lucky to have 50 people there. Okay. So once he's established, then you can start, all right, maybe he can beat guys. Maybe guys from other companies will be willing to lose to him. The other thing is these other guys know his identity, and he's probably just some young boy. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, there's that whole factor too, where people aren't just going to put him over from other companies. Not at this stage. So anyway, it's the right booking call for Tanaka to win the belt. It's back in ZERO1's hands. They got to find a way to get their junior titles back because that wrestler from Tochigi Pro holds it now, and he hasn't even been in the company all year. Those titles might never be coming back. I cover all of that in the article. And then the rest of the show was, a mixed bag at best with some really bad stuff. Muhammad Yone versus Junya Matsunaga was third from the top. Now, this was a rugged match that I thought had the wrong winner. I think Junya Matsunaga should have beaten Muhammad Yone. Matsunaga, for people who don't know, he was the young burgeoning ace of ZERO1 before Hayabusa showed up. And if you watch him, and maybe this match isn't the best example because Muhammad Yone is kind of washed up.
Yeah.
But if you watch him, it's obvious. He has a great look. He's got charisma. He's won the Fire Festival before. He's someone that they push. He's never won the world title. I think long-term, the goal should be Hayabusa to beat Tanaka for the world title and then build Hayabusa and Junya Matsunaga into sort of the generational rivalry that carries the company from there. If I had the book, that's what I would do. It's unfortunate he had to lose to Muhammad Yone because Muhammad Yone, look, I've enjoyed that guy's career. I like him a lot. He's done. He's finished. And they tried to work this in a rugged way to kind of hide Yone's age and loss of ability. But it was just disappointing all around because it sucked watching Matsunaga lose to this guy.
Yeah. It was, and Yone is like many steps behind at this point. So yeah, I agree. This would have been an easy. I know there's political reasons why, but that's one I feel like you gotta.
Listen,
if you're ZERO1, I think you
Noah wanted to win. They wanted 2-1.
Right.
They wanted 2-1. That's the bottom line. You can see, you've seen this how many times historically.
Yeah, they're the power play in this, so I get it, I guess. But it's just like fuck yeah, that guy versus I don't know, yeah.
So that was what it was. Mammoth Sasaki over Sugataka Sato. I talked about Mammoth Sasaki earlier. He's a big Japan guy, but he's been working 0-1 all year. Again, because of that FMW connection. I think he's been an important piece to 0-1 this year in someone who's historically connected to Hayabusa.
Yes.
And for Mammoth Sasaki, let me tell you something. These 0-1 shows must feel like a vacation because he just has to go in there and wrestle. He doesn't have to fall through light tubes. He doesn't have to fall through razor wire. He's not cutting himself up. He's just going out there and wrestling. Now, do I want to watch Mammoth Sasaki wrestle? No. Okay. But do I think he's an important component to their rebuilding year because of the things I've talked about? Yes, I do. So that's where I stand on that. Not that again.
I believe he's a freedoms guy, so somebody doesn't correct you. I believe he's a freedoms guy. Freedoms. I don't want you to get. I don't want you to get the freedoms people mad at you.
Well, here's the thing: they don't listen anymore. So
that's true. That's true.
The freedoms people don't listen anymore. But if you look at his at the shit that he does in freedoms compared to the stuff he does in 0-1,
yeah, this has got to be great. This has got to be fantastic. He comes out and it's, hey, remember that guy? Oh, yeah, you remember that guy? And then he just goes and wrestles for 9 minutes and then leaves. It's like, good. I don't have to.
It's not a double board alpha death match. It's not a barbed wire board and weapons death match. This is the kind of shit that he's doing in freedoms. So, he comes here for 0-1. These got to be, super easy paydays for him. So good for him from that standpoint. We're working backwards. Let's go back to the top. So we had Chris Weiss and Violento Jack. Always nice to see Violento Jack pop in.
I was like, holy shit, there he is. Incredible.
Well, I mean, this is another freedoms guy, right?
Uh-huh.
So again, for him, it's the same thing. Like these are nights off for him compared to what he does in freedoms. So, he pops into 0-1 a couple times a year and they beat Yasu Kubota, who I have no use for, and Yuki Toki, who I love. I love this Yuki Toki. I would recommend his match against Hayabusa. I have it linked in my piece. He's a young guy. He's 25 or 26. He's short. I think he's a former sumo.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a sumo.
But he's a little fella. He ain't no taller than 5'3" or 5'4". Okay, I think he's billed at 5'6", but he ain't 5'6". And he wrestles with a real fire. And he has a crowd connection that I consider very similar to Odashima from Noah, in that he has like this underdog charisma about him. And on a roster that's not deep and not very good and very thin and has to be supplemented from, with guys from freedoms and guys from Pro Wrestling Noah and everything else, I think as one of the home base wrestlers, Yuki Toki is right behind Junya Matsunaga in my list of guys outside of Hayabusa that I like to watch wrestle in this promotion.
Yeah, he's cool. He's got some potential for sure.
Yeah, there's something there with him, at least at this level. So Chris Weiss and Violento Jack, they weren't going to lose a match like this against guys like this. Kubota's a veteran on the way out, and Toki's a young kid. And Chris Weiss is a push dude.
Yeah.
And world champion level guy.
Yeah, challenger for the world title, a Fire Festival finalist a lot. So, yeah, winner in the past. So, yeah, he's got to get that win.
And Weiss was dominant here. I don't even know if he bumped. I mean, he just kicked their ass. And he hit that great double clothesline, and he scored the pin. And this was a hierarchy match, is what this was. It's typical Japanese pro wrestling hierarchy where here's a guy who's a main eventer working the opener because he's not figured in, and he's dominating two prelim guys. So that's pro wrestling. Hikaru Shida, yes, that Hikaru Shida, over Yuuki Mashiro, who I wasn't familiar with. All you need to know here is this was Yuuki Mashiro was the kind of Joshi I can't fucking stand. Frilly skirt, 70 pounds, non-physical threat. I never want to watch her wrestle again. Who does she belong to? She's
let me see if I can.
Are you familiar with this
I
wrestler?
am not. No? This is the first time I ever saw her. I don't
She's
know.
worked
Yeah.
Nothing but 0-1 this year. I mean, most of her matches, 23 matches in 0-1. And then random spots in some of the other Joshi promotions, a little bit of Stardom, a little bit of Marigold, a little bit of Diana. So I don't know. Maybe she's a freelancer or something, but it's not someone I ever want to watch wrestle again. I mean, this was like a Riho style Joshi. Hikaru Shida now.
I'm not really interested in watching her ever wrestle again, to be honest, either.
Now listen, she's very overrated to me and always has been. Now she put on a little weight, and don't worry, Rich, I'm not getting canceled.
I was like, whoa, all right. Well, that's it for us. We got to go here. So.
I'm going to praise her because it's good weight, because this match to me came across like modern Joshi versus peak Joshi, because Hikaru Shida with the little extra weight, she had like that Akira Hokuto build, right? Like she's like Joshi's during the era of Joshi that I enjoyed looked like athletes, the big thick thighs, right? They were sturdy women. They looked tough, right? Or they had the slim, like swimmers build a lot of the time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Like,
yeah.
Shida looked like an athlete, and she looked like she was just cut out of that era of when Joshi was good. And then you have this Mashiro, who's this little sprite wearing a frilly skirt, screaming and doing meteoras, which I can't stand. I think it's absolute garbage. So it was like old versus new. And I have, you had Mashiro out here doing these really soft cross body blocks, like Riho does. And I just couldn't stand her work. And then you had Hikaru Shida just killing her with hard lariats.
She was working heavy for sure. She was working heavy.
Oh my God. And from that standpoint, I ended up enjoying the match because it was like this dichotomy of styles. And of course, the person I wanted to win did, right? The better the person who wrestles like an athlete beat like the fucking little idol wannabe, junk that I can't stand. And it just worked for me based on, it was like modern versus peak to me is how it came across. So I like this way more than I thought I was going to like it, even though I couldn't stand one of the people wrestling in it. So I don't know. That was my takeaway on that match.
Yeah, you seemed to like it a little bit more than I did. I thought I thought she worked. Like I said, I enjoyed her working style here because it was a little tougher, a little more rugged, but I didn't think she looked very good, to be honest. So
yeah, well,
but I've never thought she was good,
Hikaru,
to be honest. So I'm the wrong person to ask. So
there's limits to how good Hikaru Shida is going to look, but I thought she worked a very smart match here in that it was clearly one style versus another style. So now listen, I'm not going nuts here. It was a 2.5-star match. I'm just saying, it was
right.
And then the last match was Kid Bandit and Takuya Sugawara against the aforementioned, what's Jiro calling himself now?
Kuroshio Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah, and Makiya Sasaki, who does, how would you describe this? I guess the he's like action Mike Jackson, but not nearly as good. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
is that the best way to describe him? I guess.
I suppose. Yeah, that kind of works. Yeah, just a jobber,
like a cowboy gimmick. Like,
yeah,
but a comedy, more comedy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He wears a cowboy hat and he's like, I guess he's presenting as, sometimes in Japanese wrestling, they'll present as American as a joke. Kind of like the Florida Brothers from Dragon Gate from 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, the Florida Brothers.
Remember the Florida Brothers?
Yeah, but his look is weird. He's got like a Steve Kern thing going.
Yeah, he looks like Action Jackson. He looks like Mike Jackson.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah,
he's got Mike Jackson's body too. But
he does.
Now I'm talking about 35-year-old Mike Jackson, not current.
Yeah, not current Mike
Jackson.
Not current Mike Jackson.
He looks like Mike Jackson, but is like 20% the worker. I think is the best way to describe this guy, because he's just a 20%?
Guy. 20%? I think it's a lot less percent of the worker.
I'm being generous, I guess.
I think you're being very generous,
but very shtick-filled match. There's nothing to it. Sugawara's a 0-1 regular. Kid Bandit's a 0-1 regular. And obviously Jiro came from the outside, and this Makiya Sasaki is another freelancer that they brought in. It was just a ton of shtick. Not the kind of match that you want to know what my notes say verbatim? Junk.
Yeah.
That's it. So
the temptation to just skip forward when Jiro did his jacket thing and then went back and then came back again. I was just like, oh my God, come on. I get it. I'm sure for the live crowd, I'm sure they love it. I'm sure the live shows, they all love it. But yeah, watching at home at like 2 a.m., I was like, I got no time for this. What am I doing? Like, crying baby, I'm holding it. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here? This is
I got a shit-filled diaper to change.
Yeah, and I got this guy coming out. And the best part about this, too, is because this show had, they decided to deal with copyright music by having everybody have this exact same entrance music.
Yes.
So as Jiro's coming out and going, dun 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 dun, which was fine for like guys who entered the ring in a minute or whatever.
It was fine for Mammoth Sasaki.
Right, because Mammoth Sasaki came out, waved to the crowd, got in the ring, and then went, all right, there we go. For Jiro, it was like 12 minutes. I'm like, what is this? God.
Didn't fit. Like he's smiling and dancing with the crowd to this.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like an aggressive theme. Like it's ZERO1 versus Noah. So it's like a battle of wits and fighting and energy. And then, it was just, not.
Yeah, so look, the top two matches were very good.
Yeah.
The rest, look, if you want to watch something a little different, but I don't think we're overselling the rest by any means. But if you want to watch something a little different, if you want to see what Chris Weiss is up to, Violento Jack, you want to check out.
Who wants to see what Chris Weiss is up to? Honestly, who are you talking to? What listener is going, and you say, if you want to keep up with what Chris Weiss is up to, and they went, you know what? I do want to keep up with what Chris Weiss
Maybe
is
they
doing.
do. Listen, we've been covering ZERO1 since the start. It's just not much to cover.
You're right.
It's just, we don't get a lot of footage to look at. So, I mean, we've been talking about Chris Weiss for how many years now, Richard?
Okay. All right.
All right. And maybe they want to see Yuki Toki. Maybe they're Violento Jack fans. I don't know. Maybe they want to see this beefed up classic Joshi Hikaru Shida throwing lariats at little sprites running around in frilly dresses. Maybe they want to check it out. I don't know. I would skip the rest of it.
No, I was going to say, I think people want to check out ZERO1, but you specifically said if you want to see what Chris Weiss is up to. Nobody wants to see what Chris Weiss is up to.
I don't know. That's massive disrespect to Chris Weiss.
There's other reasons for people to want to watch this show. I don't think keeping up with what that's where I take umbrage. I don't know if that's the right sell for the show.
Outside of the top two matches, you want to see what Chris Weiss is up to.
Fair.
All right, because where are you going to go outside the top two matches if you're not going? I had to go to Chris Weiss.
I get it.
I mean, what else what do you want me to point to? You know, and they really want to see Sukataka Sato? I don't think they want to see him. But I will say that's a Tochigi Pro guy, so that may be signs that we're cooling off.
Oh, okay.
With the Cold War here, right?
That's good. That'd be good if that was the case.
I mean, because, it'd be nice to see those two rosters just come back together, I think. But I think it would help be beneficial to both.
Sure. Absolutely.
But, look, I hope more ZERO1 continues to hit tape because I will continue watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, this show didn't knock my socks off outside the top two, obviously. But, man, sometimes it's nice to just watch basic pro wrestling. And Jiro's not going to be around anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's why I'm not, all fired up about it, because I know that's just the guy coming in to work Oregon. So the rest of this was just, pro wrestling.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the fun things about ZERO1 is it's just pro wrestling, which is nice. It's a nice getaway. So I think I'm going to have to bounce here. So I don't know if you want to do the 11/14 CMLL show without me while I'm on mute or whatever. What do you want to do here?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move that to a Flagship Plus at a later date. So
okay.
If you want to hear the break, because listen, I did the November 7th Arena Mexico show on Flagship Plus, and let's stay consistent. I will do the November 14th review on Flagship Plus as well, and we'll preview November 21st. How's that?
That works good. Yeah, sorry, because I got to get out of here pretty soon. I watched the show. Good, fun show. But probably best for you since you're covered on Flagship Plus and consistently reviewing and whatever.
We'll stick with that.
That works. So, all right. That is going to be it for us here on the Flagship. Don't forget, this Saturday, immediately following AEW Full Gear 2025, we will be going live with Instant Reaction Live. That is on our $10 tier at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, or you can find the link as well at voicesofwrestling.com. We also mentioned throughout the show, you get the Thursday Dynamite review. That is on the $5 tier, at flagshippatreon.com as well. If you want a weekly recap and review of the AEW Dynamite show. We also have that $10 tier The written piece about ZERO1, that is also up there at flagshippatreon.com. I got Tour of the Territories. I got a bunch of other stuff, written content, retro content, a lot of good stuff up there for you guys at patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. Flagship Pluses. Hey, you just talked about Flagship Plus. That is available on the $5 tier as well. So join on, even if you want free, you can join on with a free tier as well if you want to see what we're doing, and you can kind of get an idea. And if you like something, you can upgrade very easily to a paid tier. But that is going to be it for us. That is Joe. I'm Rich. We'll talk to you guys next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network listeners. I am Jeff Hawkins, co-host of Shake Them Ropes, with a very special announcement. If it's been a while or you've never listened to us before, the original gang is back. Myself and Rob McCarran, back talking wrestling. We have no idea where this show's going to go, where we're going to keep any of the old bits or any of the old things in there. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey, and we'd like for you to come along with us. Only on Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity, and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently, too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.